pharma consulting, so nobody can stay away from Mumbai.
True.
So
I know Somil sir when I was a project manager in strategic analysis. I got an opportunity to start working with him when he was Roche. So we did quite a number of projects when sir was in Roche. Then I got an opportunity to work with him in Isai also. And now sir has shifted to Novartis just a year before, I believe.
Yeah, almost 2 years, Manas. The middle of COVID, so time flies, yeah. We'll hand it over to Dr. Babita. We don't want to keep everyone waiting. Otherwise, we'll go on and on. Yeah, Dr. Babita,
Yeah.
over to you.
yes, sir, thank you so much. And I hope, Manasa, we should start so that we can go ahead.
I think students are joining continuously. We can start in between.
Because they will join in between and we can at least start. the
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Just give me a second, ma'am.
Yes.
There is a snake is running around at my home. Just give me a second. Shit.
So, sir, Somit sir and Priya ma'am, we will really like whenever the things will positive and the things are going on, we will try to invite you at our Jamia Hamdard so that you can visit and see our culture and see our whole university. And it is very beautiful university,
Yes.
state of the art university it is, and the
So,
students are
Dr.
very good.
Dr. Babita, I almost got admission at Hamdard at one
Oh.
point before I was here. So we
For
had migrated
pharmacy.
to Delhi for some work, because of my father's posting. And then I came back to Mumbai. Otherwise, I would have probably been an alumnus of Hamdard.
Wow, it's really nice to listen about it. And definitely, it is a very, very good college. The pharmacy. When I started my medicine, I also filled the form for pharmacy. So, but somehow then my father said, no, you wanted to like me to go for a medicine only. So I
Yes.
did my medicine and then shifted from that profile. And after 12 years of my practice of medicine, and then shifted in the engineering colleges and every other college. So taking care of the students to get placed in good companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is so anytime you visited to Delhi, Somil sir and Priya ma'am, anytime.
We do
In a way-
keep coming. Yeah, I think Somil also. Right now, for the last couple of years, travel has been like on an embargo. Otherwise, I think Delhi is probably once a month. I would say once a month, once in 2 months for sure. We would be-
Once, as Priya said, yeah, once a month or once in 2 months, definite, because there's so many people to meet there. So
So we will take a
Delhi
we'll
next
definitely
week.
take a privilege to invite you.
No, sure. I'm in Delhi next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I'll come next time when I'm in Delhi. I'll definitely come and visit you.
Sure, sir.
I was telling Manas, I don't know whether you heard, but I've stayed in the campus for like 2 to 3 weeks. When I was at Lilly, they had put us up at the Hamdard campus during our training in '95. So that's
Oh,
quite some
wow.
time back.
So you are aware of the campus then?
Yes.
Okay.
And all the amazing food we had at that time. So, ma'am, over to you. We can start.
Yes,
off.
yes.
Ma'am, can we take this forward?
Manasa, shall we start?
Yeah. Please. Let's get it going.
Please go ahead.
Yeah,
And I just wanted to say something. The blessings are here from the Vice Chancellor, sir. He's a little busy, so he has given his blessings to start the program with the same pace and same energy as we have yesterday. So thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, for giving his blessings to us. So please go ahead, Panishka.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. As said by Ralph Waldo Emerson, do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. A very good afternoon, and I hope you all are doing great. My name is Vanishika D, and on behalf of Jamia Hamdard University, I would like to welcome one and all present over here to the day 2 of the virtual summit titled Revolving Marketing Dynamics and Globalization of Life Science Industry Post-COVID Era. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the presence of our dignitaries, teachers, and eminent speakers, namely Mr. Manas Ranjan Raut, founder and CEO, Cognitrex Consultants Private Limited, Priya G. Hingarani, Vice President, Commercial GSK India, Mr. Somil Modi, Country Head, Novartis Oncology India, And our last speaker was Mr. Hitesh Apriti, CEO DEI Biopharma Uganda, but due to some urgent commitment, he won't be able to join us today. Digital transformation is altering the DNA of the life science sector worldwide. As already discussed by Mark yesterday, that the healthcare sector is a significant contributor to the Indian economy. The pandemic has disrupted critical structures within each industry, including the pharma industry. The most important impact has been in the area of the regulatory processes. So today, our eminent speakers will further enlighten us as to what would be the way forward in the changing landscape of the healthcare ecosystem. You can post your questions on the chat box or ask them directly to our speakers as we move forward. So now I would like to invite Nida Zehra, MBHR from the Department of Management, to take the session forward. Over to you, Nida.
Thank you, Banishika. I hope that I'm audible.
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
yes, you are.
All right. Yeah. So, Jamia Hamdard was established in the year 1989 and was formally inaugurated by then Prime Minister of India, Sri Rajiv Gandhi, on August 1, 1989. And then in 2019, it was awarded the Institute of Eminent Status, Ministry of Human Resource Development. The School of Pharmaceutical Education and Research of Jamia Hamdard is considered as one of the oldest pharmacy institute in India. It was awarded the number one rank in India in the year 2017, 2019, and 2021 by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. The school offers diploma,
The
undergraduate,
School of
graduate,
Pharmaceutical Education.
and the PhD programs in pharmacy and pharmaceutical science and the other field of study. The institute is research intensive and has the numerous notable alumni in the pharmaceutical industry in both India and abroad. Now, with this, I would like to invite Mohsin Akram to recite some verses from the Holy Book Quran and initiate the summit. Mohsin, over to you.
Okay, is my voice is audible?
Yes, Mohsin, it is.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى أرأيت إن كان على الهدى أو أمر بالتقوى أرأيت إن كذب وتولى ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى كلا لئن لم ينطه لنصفعا بالناصية ناشية كاذبة خاطية فليدع ناديه سندع الزبانية كلا لا تطيعه واسجد واقترب. Now the translation of the verses. Read, O Prophet, in the name of your Lord who created humans from a clinging clot. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught humanity what they knew not. Most certainly, one exceeds all bounds once they think they are self sufficient. But surely to your Lord is the return of all. Have you seen the man who prevents a servant of ours from praying? What if this servant is rightly guided or encourages righteousness? What if that man persists in denial and turns away? Does he not know that Allah sees all? But no, if he does not desist, we will certainly drag him by the forelock, a lying, sinful forelock. So let him call his associates, we will call the wardens of hell. Again, no, never obey him, O Prophet, rather continue to prostrate and drag near to Allah. Now I would like to call Banishika for taking over from here. Over to you.
Thank you, Mohsin. Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite Dr. Saidun Nisa, who is currently working as an assistant professor of international business in the Department of Management. She is also the convener of the Industry Academica Partnership Cell and a deputy provost. She has published several research papers in the national and international journals of repute. She has more than 17 years of teaching and research experience and has been associated with Jamia Hamdard since 2005. She is an incredible teacher and mentor who never fails to inspire us to achieve better in our lives. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Badeshika. Respected speakers for today's session, deans of different schools, head of the departments, faculty members, and dear students, good afternoon. At the very outset, I, on behalf of Industry Academia Partnership Cell, welcome you all to the summit Revolving Market Dynamics and Globalization of Life Science Industry in Post-COVID Era. The topic is very close to our heart at Jamia Hamdard because the university has its roots in medical sciences. The history of Jamia Hamdard begins with the establishment of a small Unani clinic in the year 1906 by Hakim Hafiz Abdul Majid, one of the well-known practitioners of Unani system of medicine of his time. He had a vision of making the practice of Unani medicine into a scientific discipline so that Unani medicines could be dispensed in a more efficacious manner to patients. He gave the name Hamdard to his venture, which means sympathy for all and sharing of pain. In 1962, the Institute of History of Medicine and Medical Research was set up with the object of promoting education and research in the history of medicine, besides appraising the principles of medicine. Hamdard College of Pharmacy was set up in 1972 with the objective of providing education and training in all branches of pharmacy. In the year 1989, Jamia Hamdard was given the status of deemed to be university by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Over a period, Jamia Hamdard has emerged as an outstanding institution of higher learning with distinct and focused academic programs. Today, Jamia Hamdard is offering programs in almost all professional courses. We have with us well-established medical college, fully equipped with modern medical facilities. We also have School of Nursing, School of Chemical and Life Sciences, School of Management and Business Studies, School of Allied Health Sciences, School of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, School of Unani Medical Education and Research, School of Engineering, Science and Technology, School of Humanities and Social Sciences, School of Law, School of Open and Distance Learning, and Center for Media and Mass Communication Studies. Our School of Pharmaceutical Education and Research is ranked #1 in India by NIRF. Jamia Hamdard is accredited in category A by NAC, and Jamia Hamdard is also one of the few select universities supported by PERS grant, which is awarded by Government of India to select top performing universities in recognition of their research and development contribution measured by publication and citations. In addition, Jamia Hamdard is also supported by FIST, DST, and SAP programs of UGC. Jamia Hamdard also finds a place in US News and World's Global Best Universities ranking in pharmacology and toxicology category at number 120 and #1 in India. This summit is organized under the chairmanship of our Vice Chancellor, Professor M. Afshar Alam Sir, in order to have brainstorming session on the very relevant topic in today's context, life science industry in post-COVID era. Today, we have with us very renowned and eminent speakers who will be deliberating on the challenges and issues of the industry. We have with us Mr. Manas Ranjan Rao, founder and CEO, Cognitrex Consultants Private Limited. We were really inspired by your talk yesterday, and I welcome you again and hope to get more insights from your session today as well, sir. And our next speaker is Ms. Priyaji Hingorani. She is Vice President Commercial, GSK India. We are privileged and honored with your presence, ma'am. We also have Mr. Saumil Modi. He is country head, Novartis Oncology, India. We are honored to have you, sir, here. I welcome you all to the summit. Every industry faced major disruption and changes due to pandemic, but since the crisis was in healthcare, the life sciences industry had been hit hardest. Given the demand for critical care equipment like ventilators, personal protective equipment, key medicine life sciences companies were left scrambling to produce and in some cases source these important sustaining products at an unprecedented rate. While the collaboration amongst manufacturers, both within the life science domain and across the ecosystem, was truly admirable. The question that now remains is what happens next? Are manufacturers ready for the next disruption? The pandemic has shined a spotlight on the inefficiencies and complexities that exist in healthcare markets across the globe. As wave after wave has surged, global healthcare systems remain overwhelmed on every aspect of patients' treatment journey. Even before COVID 19, healthcare was already one of the largest spend areas for governments around the world. The pandemic has only aggravated the known issues. Clearly, the administrators, regulators, physicians, nurses, and patients would agree that the processes and models need to change. The life science industry needs a clear roadmap with well defined action points, priorities, and milestones to solve the challenges and reach the desired goals. For this, the government, academia, and industry will need to collaborate to work towards taking life science industry to new heights. I take this opportunity to convey my warmest greeting to all the speakers again. We are indeed grateful that you have taken out time from your busy schedule to be with us on this occasion. We feel greatly honored by your presence. I can assure you that your presence here is a source of great motivation and encouragement to the entire Hamdard fraternity. Hoping to get new insights from your speeches today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ankiti, for sharing your wisdom with us. Now, with this, I would like to welcome, on behalf of Jamia Hamdard, Mr. Manas Ranjan Raut, the founder and director of Cognitrex Consultant Private Limited, a company that deals in the market research solution majorly to pharmaceutical companies in India and abroad. Mr. Manas is a successful professional holding 19 plus years of experience in pharmaceutical and healthcare industry. He is the alumni of IIM Kozhikode and Osmania University. So we are pleased to have you here with us. And now I would like you to take the lead from here to moderate the summit further. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Uh, Sunday afternoon is a very difficult afternoon for everybody, I believe, specifically for the students. When we were students, we are in the same position. In fact, we didn't have opportunity to having anything on digital that point in time. So the topic is fantastic, revolving dynamics and globalization of life science industry India post COVID era. So before I start inviting our honorable speakers, I would like to thank once again the entire university, Vice Chancellor sir, Babita ma'am, Nisha ma'am, all the students, all the speakers who has taken time out to listen to the learned, eminent professionals of our industry. I am really delighted to invite two eminent professionals and my seniors, Priya ma'am and Somil sir, for today's talk. So before I invite Priya ma'am as a first speaker, I'll just like to tell all of you that one of our speaker, Hitesh Upreti sir, could not join this event today. I got a call from him, and he had a meeting, urgent meeting with the president of Uganda. Uh, Just to inform you, he is going to establish East Africa's largest manufacturing unit very soon, in conjunction with WHO. So he has a meeting tomorrow with WHO. So he has told that just apologize on my behalf to the university and the students. So let's begin the today's event. As I mentioned to you, this afternoon, Sunday afternoon, is a very busy afternoon for everybody. So I'll request all of you, if you people are actively listening to us, to everyone which is there, which is going to speak, just put Y in your chat box, just to confirm that you people are listening. If you can do that, that will be really nice. So ma'am has started. Yeah, Nabya and people have started doing it. Oh, great, great. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, thanks a lot. It's bombardment has started on Y. Thank you so much. So COVID, I put it like this. Thank you everyone. Thanks a lot, thanks a lot. Your attention and presence is going to motivate everyone that you are listening to us. People have taken time out for their busy schedule. COVID, I'll put it like this. COVID is an opportunity in the disruption. Opportunity in disruption. And life science industry, which is amalgamation of multiple industries that I have explained yesterday, there are 40 sub-industry which is integrated within healthcare and life science industry. You will not find a single industry across the world which is highly integrated and highly sub-segmentized the way healthcare and life science industry is. We have spoken about the multiple aspects yesterday in terms of different revolutions. When we talk about API revolution, where government of India took the initiative to start manufacturing hubs for API manufacturing, just to avoid the counter threat from China, because 93% API is coming to India through China. We have talked about evolution of multiple things, multifold and multiple things. We talked about digitalization, where we have seen multiple aspects in terms of telemedicine. 400 crore, 4 billion people has been consulted over last 2 years through telemedicine. Amazing. We have spoken about eSanjeevani OPD, world's largest telemedicine consulting platform. We have spoken about the big corporates like Tata's, like Reliance, the banking sector, be it SDFC Bank, be it ICICI Bank, be it Axis Bank, Kotak Mahindra, be it Tech Mahindra, who has ventured into this segment, healthcare segment big time. We have spoken about revolution of our R&D sectors in terms of more than 13 institutions and companies is working on COVID vaccination. With this, I would like to invite to listen more from our two eminent speakers on the burning topic. Let me welcome Priya Ji Hingorani ma'am to the podium as our first speaker. There are lot many things to speak about Priya ma'am, but I'll just keep it very precise. She has started career, if I understand correctly, in 1995 with Wokhard, then Abbott, then head of marketing in Ranbaxy, general manager marketing in Novartis, again back to head marketing and sales of Ranbaxy Labs, head marketing Ranbaxy, head neuroscience Abbott, vice president Johnson & Johnson for around 7 years, and last 2 to 3 years ma'am is vice president commercial operation of GSK India, with a fantastic more than 2 decades of experience, ma'am, within pharmaceutical industry with almost all multinational and leading Indian companies. I'd like to invite you to throw some insight on your experience, what happened in last 2 years and what is expected to be happening in life science industry. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Manas.
Ma'am, I think you have joined from 2 devices.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one is working on audio. 1 minute, just give me a second.
Uh-huh. If you keep two devices close to each other, then it is going to throw echo, ma'am.
So, can you hear me, Manas, on this
Loud
one?
and clear, ma'am.
Okay,
Loud and clear.
perfect. Okay, lovely. So thank you everyone. Good afternoon. And as Manas said, Sunday afternoons, very difficult, especially when summer is just coming in. I think the choice between having a quick nap and listening to someone who's, we don't know how interesting or how boring they may be. I think I'll have taken a bet. So it's up to us between Manas, Somil and me to make it interesting enough for you so that your afternoon is well spent. Thank you, Manas, and thank you, Dr. Babita, for having us over. Of
Welcome,
course,
ma'am.
the Vice Chancellor and senior members of the Jamia Hamdard University for having us here. I was telling Dr. Babita in our chit chat before we started, if things had gone the other way around, I would have probably been an alumnus of Jamia Hamdard University, given that my father was in a transferable job and I was looking at something in Delhi at that point of time. But you probably, this is where destiny is, and I came to Mumbai, and from Mumbai we have started the movement, which is for the pharmaceutical industry. What I would like to tell you is that the journey that I'm going to talk to you about, there are so many aspects. Manas spoke about so many things that are happening in the industry, and I'm sure they would have done it in a great level of detail. But out of the multiple paradigms that are shifting the industry, I thought one paradigm that we could probably zero in and focus on in the next 30 minutes or so, which will probably give you a sense of how evident that disruption is in the industry today, right? There is, all of you are experiencing it. It's there all around us. We are seeing it happen. We are seeing it move every single day. Probably we are a part of that disruption. But I just want to make sure that you have, you get a visibility of what is happening behind those doors. And I'm sure some bit of it may be a repetition from what Manas spoke yesterday. But I would love to leave it for questions and your interaction, because it's more about how you understand this and how do we take it from there. I would like to share my screen, Dr. Babita. How could I do that?
Ma'am, there's an arrow.
Yeah. So I'll do that. So can I do it from,
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
allowed to. Right. Yeah, sure. I'm not sure if you can see anything.
It will take some time, ma'am. It will take some time.
Let me just check a second. All right, I can see this. And all right. Okay, while this comes up, just to understand from the audience perspective, we have a mix of pharmacy students and nursing students, or is it just the pharmaceutical team here? Right?
We have a mix of pharmacy students, management pharmacy students, and we have nursing student, medical students, and also we have biotechnology and toxicology students.
Oh, interesting. Very nice. Very, very nice. I don't know what's happening here. 1 minute. Okay.
It's coming in. Yeah, we can see.
All right. So the topic that I'm going to speak on today is about the paradigm shift happening in the last mile delivery. What is last mile delivery? All of us know today, whether it is Amazon, whether it is Zepto here in India, whether it is Blinkit from Grofers, whether it is FMCG, any of the products
Ma'am,
that you pick up.
Sorry to disturb you. Ma'am, can you put it in the full screen mode?
In this thing, it is in the full screen mode. I don't know why it's not. Sorry.
No problem. It is visible.
Hold on.
No.
Can you see that now? Is it better? Okay. Manas, would it help if I sent it to you?
No problem. You can see it, ma'am. You can run from your system. It's absolutely fine. No problem.
Okay. I can, because I can see it. mode. I don't know what's going
Sure,
on.
sure. We can see this.
All right. Okay. So if you look at what is happening in this area of last mile delivery, like I was saying, it is whether it's the Amazons, whether it is your Zeptos or Blinkits, etc. All around us, we are seeing a change in the way the approach is happening to delivery of products to our doorstep. Right, all of us are getting a little more impatient, and we are also getting far more challenged by the way that we are running our business lines in terms of a business operation. Now, pharmaceutical industry, as we all know, is a very, very large industry. And just to brush some volumes, the Indian pharma market is about 42 billion US dollars as of today, and it's expected to be tripling up by 2030 to $150 billion. And this is just the pharmaceutical segment. The biopharmaceutical segment, the medical devices segment is over and above this. The biopharmaceutical segment, for example, is close to expected to be around 120 billion by 2025, 2026. And similarly, the medical devices is also expected to be close to about 150 billion. So we are talking of a large market which is globally third in terms of the volumes that we supply and 13th in terms of value. This statistic tells us that the possibility of anyone, being there for value or volume in a country like India means that you have to have those many products and medicines that are getting to the patient, to the ecosystem outside, and happening in a manner that is compatible with the kind of service that the customer is expecting today. Now, for example, if I expect Amazon to make a delivery in 24 hours or sometimes even 2 hours on their Prime Fresh, I expect my neighborhood stores to make a delivery today in 30 minutes or an hour. Why would I expect a pharmaceutical industry delivery to happen at a very, very different time, right? Especially because most of those medicines that come in, either they come in for acute diseases or for chronic diseases. And thereby, this paradigm has taken a dramatic change and a shift in the way not only how the global industry is viewing delivery to the patient, but also how the Indian pharmaceutical industry is viewing that. So, if we were to look at the top 10 pharma
Ma'am,
industry
sorry
trends,
to interrupt once again. I think your slides are not moving.
oh, 1 minute, hold on.
Now we can see. Yeah, now we can see.
Okay, now let me see if it goes to full screen now. Can you see now? Manas, does it work now?
Ma'am, दिख रहा है, but it's not in full screen. It's
I don't
visible.
know what's
No
the
problem.
issue.
Ma'am,
Can I
just
mail this to someone else so that it can be, easily done and I can then run this fast?
Just a second. You can send it to me, ma'am. I'll just put it across. I'm putting my email ID in my chat box.
Yeah, thanks, Manas. I'm sorry, everyone. About when we talk about technology, this is what happens to technology, right? It tries to show you where it is. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and try and see if I need to do it again. All right. Manas, I've just sent it to you. coming up.
Yes.
So while Manas will load that for me kindly, thank you, Manas. Sorry to put you in that trouble,
No.
but from a perspective of, like I was telling you, what is happening today is we are all looking at what happens in terms of the delivery. And why am I choosing delivery? See, today you as students would traditionally look at paths which are, okay, can I do R&D? Can I do quality control? Can I get into commercial? Can I look at research? Yes, all of them will remain. But what
Ma'am,
will
can you check
also,
once again? It has gone from your mail. If you have sent it.
have you got the mail, Anas?
No, no, no. I have not received it. Can you check once again? If you have sent it from Outlook, just check it.
I've sent it from Gmail. It's from a different ID. Manas, just see.
I have not received. Just a second.
Yeah, for it's showing wasn't delivered.
That's just a second.
Okay, this is the it's.
Is the size heavy, ma'am? Product size side ka?
Yeah, no, I just copied the email ID from here. M Ranjan at Cognitive. Oh. My error. Manas, let me know if you receive it. I'm just going to hold on for a minute.
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay.
मैम आप एक बार फिर से डिस्प्ले पे लगाइए. I think it will work. एक बार फिर
Yeah,
से
let me try sharing it in the meantime as well. I think the students will lose patience and say, "Oh, you guys don't know how to share the
and
screen."
आगे. I got it, ma'am. Got it.
Right. Okay. No, we very well do. The technology is being very, very moody with me today. My speaker is also working very differently, so I'm not really able to make out. So
No
kindly
problem,
excuse
ma'am. I
that, please.
received it.
All right.
I'm going to respect it.
So
You can
while
start.
Manas opens this, I'm going to just. So I was telling you that it's very important today, and let me start giving the perspective of it. For a country which contributes is third in terms of volumes globally for a medication, the kind of medication that reaches your doorstep becomes very, very important. And for you people who are going to choose careers, who are going to choose careers in the field of pharmacy and ahead, or biotech and ahead, or in the area of maybe nursing, medicine, whichever field that you want to go to, the world is open. But what is also getting opened is the fact that you're getting technology that is coming in at very, very fast pace to change the way that you and I are today engaging with the pharmaceutical industry and as consumers with the medical delivery profile. So I want to delve a little bit on this area to show you the kind of changes that are happening and what the industry is doing. So Manas, could we have the screen up, please?
Yes, ma'am. Give me a second. I am just. इसलिए बोलता हूँ कि मैं learning देता हूँ.
So technology pharmaceutical industry has been in the field medicine. We are hearing of integrated ecosystems, multitude of startups that are coming up in this area. Now, if there are multitudes that are coming up in this area, globally, there are close to 745 startups that came up in just in the healthcare. And I think this does not account for the amount of Yeah. Thanks, Manas. Thank you. So if you look at Shark Tank, which you all must have seen recently, if you have followed it, you would have seen a lot of healthcare startups that have come up in this field, which are talking through about what is coming up in the field of innovation. I saw every week at least one healthcare startup, or every day at least one or two healthcare startups which were coming up and which were pitching for the kind of work that is required. This is what I was talking to you about, that you are going to see a lot of work in the face of extended reality, real world data, digital therapeutics, precision medicine. I know when Somil speaks to you in oncology, I'm sure he'll touch upon those subjects as well, because you are getting a lot of innovation in this area. In fact, a mentor of mine in the past, his son is working on a technology which for people who have trauma injuries, spinal trauma injuries, and who are bedridden. He has created a product called Spinex, which it's like a small device which you insert in the spine, in the neural connectivity of the spine, and then also look at remotely controlling it from outside, and people regain their ability to walk, they regain their ability to do the activities of daily living. That is the kind of work, mind boggling work, that is happening. And I think even if we leave the Teslas of the world outside, and Elon Musk and Samsung and Google and Apple, who are coming into the space so dramatically. In fact, I am wearing a Fitbit Sense watch right now. It claims to do everything under the sun, is able to map your ECG, is able to map your, of course, basic things, sleep apnea, it's trying to record. They are looking at a 6-month digital connect with you in terms of data collection. So this is exciting stuff. Why am I telling you this? When we are in the pharmacy school, or when we are in our academics, we probably look at industry from a phase that, okay, this is what is happening, and you don't get this perspective. But I can assure you that from now to the next couple of decades that you come in, you are going to see amazing shifts in the industry. It's such a beautiful time for any of you to enter the industry. I think somebody is Jitendra. Jitendra Munjal. Okay. Fair enough. So if you go to the next, so I'm now going to get into focusing and telling you that if technology is changing like this, what is happening in terms of the access of medicines to our patients, especially if I was to look at a distribution outlook. Manas, if you could go to the next slide. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the way the distribution channels work. I think it's not changing. Okay, it's changing. Very good. So, tiered commercial trade channel is what we see. I'm sure everybody is aware there's a pharma company. Many of us have clearing and forwarding agents. Then the product goes to somebody called as a wholesaler or a stockist. There are more than 20,000 wholesalers in this country, and this is unaudited. So the figure could be higher. Then they could go to either a sub distributor. You have, with some numbers which talk about more than 700,000 pharmacies. The numbers vary between 700 to 850,000 pharmacies. So I'm just going to put it as greater than 700,000. Dispensing HCPs, retail pharmacy chains, hospital pharmacies, and eventually to the patient. Now, all of us experience that. Our neighborhood pharmacy shop falls in that 700,000 pharmacy space. Some of the GPs that visit, who probably give us the medication given as a small pouch that we carry back home, are the ones who are dispensing it for us. The retail chains of the Apollos of the world, the retail chains that you see in terms of, Max is coming up. You are getting to see a lot of other Noble Plus, right? Wellness Forever. These retail chains are making a change in this area. And then you have hospital pharmacies, where you have a hospital. So Apollo also falls under a hospital pharmacy, where they have hospitals, and those pharmacies are catering for basically for their inpatient department. But ultimately, everybody is trying to reach us as a patient, right? Manas, if you go to the next slide, and while this is happening for the route to getting to the commercial space, you also realize that there is a channel which is emerging as a key business lever. See, so far, and Manas and Somil will stand by me, and Dr. Babita also will go by what I'm saying. We have always looked at commercial, and commercial meant a rep to the healthcare professional, then the doctor would prescribe, and then you buy it from wherever. So if it's a near road pharmacy, so be it, all the best to you. If not, then wherever you buy it from, it doesn't matter, the doctor is going to do that. But we have seen in the last 4 or 5 years a dramatic change in the way technology, consolidation, and e-pharmacies are disrupting our business models. No longer is it sufficient for a physician to write, because the choice and the battle for every patient has gone up. And we are behaving increasingly like the fast FMCG industry, like the fast moving consumer goods industry. So I will not be surprised tomorrow. I mean, Unilever has already got into the pharma space to a certain extent. They have bought out GSK Consumer. So Crocin is now a part of Unilever, where you will see that they are already there. They're already there with a lot of other products that are coming in. And thereby, you will see many of these sub healthcare outlines that a lot of the FMCG companies are going to come into. So what is happening today? I mean, I'm sure Manas spoke about alternate channels of fulfillment, and Amazon, Reliance, Tata 1mg. We are seeing Reliance Jio is on the anvil. They are looking at a very, very interesting model. So suddenly you will have a Reliance retail store that not only sells you the groceries, but also sells you the pharmacies. Walmart is very active. Flipkart is already here. So you talk of any big multinational name, they are talking of pharma and pharma delivery, not necessarily pharma manufacturing, right? The second bit is there are these B2B or business to business interactions that are happening. So, which means if you have seen, you must have heard of a company called Udan. This is one of the biggest disruptive startups that came up from students like you who went in and created their own organization. And what did they do? They said, if just to give you a brief so you understand where I'm coming from, they started in the space of groceries. And they said, okay, there's a neighborhood kirana shop. Now all these kirana shops buy from somewhere, and therefore the pricing gets shifted. Let's be the aggregator to get all these shops together, and let's get them supplies which are going to work at a rate which is better, and also provide them the time to reaching those supplies to them is going to get reduced. Ordinarily, if your neighborhood grocer would order something from the supplier, it would take him anything between 48 to 72 hours to get it. That's come down. Sometimes it's now 3 hours, 4 hours to bring it. And then they revolutionized the space. So it's what we look at forward engineering and backward engineering. And what did they do? They brought in an area to talk about saying, all right, I will give you EMI. I will give you finance support, right? So I will help you set up your business. And with that, there came many other companies which said, all right, this is an interesting model of Udan. So Udan not only is doing that for Kirana, but they have moved in the last couple of years in the space of healthcare and pharma. And they are making an outreach now, partnering with many of the companies and also reaching out to pharmacies, right? So you have your neighborhood pharmacy, which could now be supplied by Udan as a partner, rather than going to a single stockist. Similarly, there is Retail IO or Retailio, but we call it Retail IO, which is a group again, where you're seeing consolidation of all those wholesalers, etc., which are there in the market. So huge shift that is happening. And this was not existing earlier. We were very traditional. We are seeing this disruption happen. Then supply chain management is getting disrupted. I don't know if you know, Dunzo supplies, your friendly neighborhood Dunzo supplies medicines to you. Now Swiggy is also in the chain, right? So you can order your medicines and they will be delivered via Swiggy or by Dunzo, right? And then the association of chemists and druggists, All India Association, also came together and said, oh, why? Let's look at how we can get a pharma supply chain consolidation done, because this seems like an interesting area. And 16 pharmaceutical companies have come together, so many of them from the Indian pharmaceutical space or the local domestic formulation market space, have come together to form a consortium called ABCD Technologies or Digi Health Technologies, whereby they have invested in a way of consolidating the pharma supply chain. So suddenly the interest in this is big, right? You can, if you have a chat with Apple, if you have a chat with Samsung, they are talking. Flipkart is talking this. Nobody is talking manufacturing. I mean, of course, that's a given. But people are talking of, okay, outreach to the patient. That is the big gap. Why this came in? About 20 to 30% of the prescriptions in urban cases, sorry, 5 to 7% in the urban cases, and about 30 to 40% in the rural areas, you were seeing were lost because either the product was not available, or the chemist wanted to switch it, or the retailer just took long time to get the product from the stockist from the company because they were following a traditional chain. And if something happened to disrupt that logistics, it was out. This is very interesting, and I think it is an area of the future. It is an area where you can really feel, on a daily basis, there is change happening. Very exciting market area that is coming up. So to the next slide, Manas. So if these are the trends that are happening, you can see, and I borrowed from Ken Research, right? This they predicted somewhere in 2018, and you can see this happening today. They said, look, I know it's a busy slide. Don't focus on what's written, but let me just tell you what's there. The growth of your pharmacies, online pharmacies, and the growth of your retail chains is going to be higher than the growth that is going to come in from the independent pharmacies. Why is that? When you and I walk into a wellness, we walk into a Noble Plus, we don't only get the prescription product that we have ordered, but we also get some of the other things that are available, right? You get the other accessories that are around. The experience of purchase is very different. Now you look at your pharmacies and your 1mg. I'm not sure how many of you are ordering from them online, but experience it. Because the ecosystem that they are creating, which is a backward integration, integration. What do I mean by that? They are going right up to if you are diagnosed. So from lab tests to your prescription fulfillment, everything is coming end to end, right? You're hearing about NetMeds. If you're in the East, you will hear about Frank Cross. And you are seeing all this disruption happening together along with the work that is happening in terms of the physician upgradation, in terms of telemedicine. And guess what? No discussion today is complete without talking of the biggest disruptor in 100 years of the century, or in the century and more, that is COVID. So what did COVID do to this entire thing? Right? This was already happening in the past, 2018, 2019. So work had started. So Manas, if we go to the next slide, and I'll tell you, this is very interesting. Pre-COVID, there were 3.5 million e-pharmacy households which were buying. During COVID, that number went 3 times higher to 9 million. And post-COVID, they are expecting this will reach out 70 million. Can you imagine the growth that is happening and the kind of penetration that this is gaining, right? There were 50 plus pharmacy companies in India earlier. I'm sure they're consolidating now, so the numbers may be going down, but the big players are coming in. So to get a Jio interested, to get an Amazon interested, to get a Tata interested in this, you surely have a very, very strong business model, and it's a sustainable business model. Healthcare doesn't see any dull moment. So you're going to, always, no matter where the economy is going, you may have a slight variance, but healthcare will continue to grow. Then 50% new households picked up e-pharmacy. So look at the penetration. They were really fighting at that time. It was a behavior shift that we wanted people to do. You and me also. I would rather call up my neighborhood pharmacy, tell him, please send. But now people are online. Why? It became easier. 70% penetration is what they expect. 70% penetration, amazing penetration for anything that is coming in, right? Then you're seeing the kind of investments. There was $700 million of investment that was coming in, peanuts. Today, I know of Pharmeasy, which has got 500 crores infused in right now. Tata is bringing in probably 1 billion, maybe 1,000, sorry, not 1 billion, but 1,000 crores, 1,200 crores. Reliance is talking of maybe 2 to 3,000 crores to come in. And why are these figures important? These are important because when you start making careers, this is where the roles will start coming in. This is where you will find opportunities to shine. This is where you will find opportunities to make a difference, right? Now you can see the number of people employed and then where are they moving. So chronic care is probably one of the areas. So if you're cardiovascular, neuroscience, maybe even oncology, Somil will tell you some of them have partnered in terms of the kind of service that they provide. This is becoming a big disruptor, right? Can we go to the next slide? Now, while this is all happening, all right, everything is rosy. No, it is not. This is the urban scenario. You get to the rural market, you still face challenges. What are the challenges that are happening there? Today also, while we speak of e-Sanjeevani, we speak of the other access models of Pradhan Mantri, Yojana, etc. Most people in rural India will opt for government healthcare facilities because of monetary issues and transport options. I have an experience which I would like to share with you over here. In my previous organization, Abbott, we were looking at creating access for neuroscience medications and creating access for many other products which were in the space of healthcare. And there's a very interesting train that runs. It's called the Lifeline Express. The Lifeline Express has doctors on board of that train, which could be from different specialities, right? And this would go into the hinterland, carry products. So companies like us would be present with this train. It was run by an ex-colonel who started it and then said, okay, let's have this express running. It would go and park itself in one of the villages. 3 or 4 days prior to that, we would go to the Gram Panchayat, talk to the people, create some awareness for the people to come there. People would come near the station, consult the doctor. So the compartments became mobile clinics. They would consult the doctor there, get some products which could be prescribed, or we would try to make them available. And you would be surprised. 2 days would be insufficient for these specialists to look at that small population of maybe 10-15,000, because there was these long-term diseases. There was no diagnostic facility, there was nothing. There was a primary healthcare center which probably was not functional, not because the doctors there are not doing a good job. I think if I was to look at the kind of load they are handling, it is immense. But what is happening is the infrastructure that is present there, and there's only one allopathic doctor per 10,000 people running there, and one state-run hospital for 90,000 people, which means a farmer who depends, or a daily wage laborer who is working in a rural market, the entire family needs to, or maybe a couple of them need to get rid of their daily wage work that day, go to the doctor, get the test, and if God forbidding the doctor says go to a tertiary care center, you're finished. You're not going to do that, right? So you are losing out on this entire population which is there between tier 2 to 6. Interestingly, this is also the population which is gaining a lot of money right now, is getting better, is having economic resources to dispense with. So you are seeing, if you see mobile penetration, you see television penetration, you see white goods penetration, you will see all this is coming up very strongly in these markets. What is also happening is, Manas, if you could go to the next slide. What is also happening is there is challenges in access. It's not as if pharma doesn't want to do this, right? We understand. But there is infrastructure challenge, which I just spoke to you. Doctor to nurse to patient ratio. Even if I get the medicines, who's going to prescribe? What is going to happen? Affordability of these medicines. God forbidding, if somebody needs oncology medication, how are they going to get it, right? Insurance is very, very limited penetration today compared to any other developed market. Importantly, there's lack of awareness. People themselves don't know whether they need to get to that medication state or no, or lack of medical stores themselves, like I spoke to you about, right? So the next slide, Manas, next couple of slides that I want to say. So we are going to see an exponential growth in e-pharma, in accessibility, in electronic record management, in affordability, and in a seamless experience. When I may say seamless experience, which means telemedicine today, and I'm aware of somebody in Bihar who's doing this, and many others. I'm sure Manas knows of many other examples as well. You probably would have come across yourself of this person who has set up clinics where their doctors can be consulted, and this was pre-COVID, right? So somebody was thinking about this earlier. Doctors can be consulted online from any part of the country. There would be an interface there. There would be somebody over there who's sort of managing the records of the patient, and then the supply of medications is happening to them. So you get to see the experts very, very quickly. So this seamless experience is being brought in not only by the government initiative, the infrastructure, not only by pharmaceutical industry, but also by these pharmacy chains that I was trying to speak to you about, who are trying to get the patients to have that kind of access to medicine, right? So this is the exciting world that we are going to step into, and therefore I will go to my last slide, not to just linger this topic a little more, but to tell you that, like the last mile delivery in logistics, the final delivery of in everything we do is very demanding and requires a lot of finishing touches. That determines everything. So are we there today? Probably not. Everybody is learning, everybody is going. Are we progressing from where we were there 5 years ago? 100%. Every single day is very exciting. I think it's like reading news. Of course, Russia and Ukraine and then COVID earlier have taken up the limelight now. But as business starts coming in, you will see what I'm telling you right now falling live. Manas, I've just a couple of more slides to drive the point home and close. So the future that I see for the pharmacy, if you remember the chain I told you, which followed a very linear pattern, company to CFA to wholesaler to patient to etc., you will possibly see brand owners, which could be companies that are going directly to the patient, or they follow this chain, or they follow the e-pharmacy, or they go from the hospital. So this is not going to be a linear progression anymore. You're going to see a lot of changes that are going to come in. And I'm sure many of you who are sitting in this audience today will probably be sitting on the forefront of driving that change and making sure that happens. So my earnest request to this audience, Manas, the last slide, is when you are looking at careers for the future, look at health insurance, look at technology and medical tech, look at mobile health or m-health, look at generics which are coming in, and look at biotechnology, because these are going to be your future drivers for the pharmaceutical industry, right? So thank you very much for your patient listening, and any comments and questions are welcome. And my sincere thank you for your patience for the technical glitch as well.
Hi, students. Any questions to ma'am? It's amazing, ma'am. I was not aware of many facts. So thank you so much for a fantastic presentation, ma'am. If anybody
Thank
has
you.
any question, you can put it across. If somebody is displaying something, okay. So probably one thing I can say on the context of rural area, uh, the statistics of mobile penetration may be in a different way. In 2015, the statistics are saying that from 14 million, 1.4 crore mobile user base or internet user base, not mobile user base. The base has touches 8 to 5 million. 82 करोड़ लोग आज की डेट में मोबाइल इंटरनेट एक्सेस करते हैं. I'm advisor to around 4 rural teleconsulting companies. Despite of the fact that, ma'am, that we got internet access, we got social media access, people in rural area, they still fights to understand the technology. And there is a big opportunity which is waiting for multiple investors, multiple entrepreneurs waiting out there. And somebody would like to get into those areas to make sure that telemedicines in a different way. For example, I am coming from a village. From my village, the first PSC is 19 kilometer, and I have seen in past and also recent past, people are dying reaching before the hospital. Acute therapies treatments are not available. गांव में दवाई की दुकान आज भी नहीं है. And just to remind everybody, 69% areas is still rural in our country. So definitely there are, I may be consulting with 4 companies, but there are multiple people. They have taken out different states that I'll work on Andhra Pradesh. I'll work on XYZ area. Just last week, last week, I was in Hyderabad. I was meeting I was meeting Yashoda Hospital's General Manager Corporate Affairs, and they have asked me one question. We are doing some project on hospital segment. Okay, despite of our lot of effort in the rural area, setting up multiple small clinics in rural area, the influx is still to Hyderabad. Could you please do a research around it? And I met him in the perspective of interviewing him to understand his perspective, and landed up with getting a project from him that could you please interview the people going to going to the rural areas of areas of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana to understand what is the psyche going behind them, why people are not touching base with the center which is right there in Andhra Pradesh, I'm to say rural areas, and coming directly to Hyderabad, spending a lot of money for them. So yes, ma'am, there are a lot of switch we can see at least in the consultation. There are a lot of switch we can expect on generic medicines. There are a lot of switch we can expect going forward over next 5 to 10 years in terms of new companies getting into this space, or maybe Tatas or maybe Geos of the world getting highly penetrated into those areas. कभी किसी ने नहीं सोचा था 2014-15 में कि जियो के टावर गांव में भी खड़ा होगा. आज जियो के टावर की वजह से हम इंटरनेट की एक्सेस कर पा रहे हैं. So there are definitely a lot of changes, and there is a question coming from Kalpana Joshi. Madam, thanks for the session. Wanted to know how to make health insurance part of public health policy and how to make it accessible at a large.
Kalpana, thank you for that question. And I think health insurance is an area where the government is already working in the public health space. There is immense work that is happening, especially in the phase where there is post-operative care, probably few days of pre-operative and then post-operative care, where you must have heard about 5 lakh rupees, being given to a family for the insurance for a family of 4 or 5 people. Now, does that mean that is enough? It is never going to be enough, because you are not going to have any of the acute diseases covered. Maternal health, which becomes your biggest problem, probably doesn't get covered there. Cardiovascular diseases, unless they become serious, don't come there. My friend Somil is going to do a lot of work in oncology access, but that also is not going to fall directly under that ambit. So there is a lot of work that needs to be done in the space of policy. I personally have worked very closely with the government in the place of public health in terms of TB, and I know that there are efforts ongoing, but this is not going to work only by what the government is accessing. What you will need is the private health insurance companies coming in, and coming in quick, which they are. You will see insurance flowing in for many other disorders which it was not there. For example, I'm very proud to share with you mental health, which was not a part of the insurance cover that was there given earlier, or mental health disorders. Now, with the change in the mental health policy, you have mental health disorders covered by the insurance. Oncology disorders for cardiovascular diseases, diabetes are all coming in. So you're going to see a lot of an ambit of insurance coming in. How much of it gets to the rural patient remains to be seen. Urban, of course, you will see that penetration.
With your kind permission, ma'am, can I add few things?
Please, Manas, please.
Kalpana, the type of country we are in, the type of population we are in, I think it's going to take some time. We have discussed yesterday also in that. The accessibility of health insurance is a mutual thing for both private sectors and public sectors. We cannot fully dependent on government. However, Ayushman Bharat is a step which is being taken by government of India, and it is going in a great way. I can say that, and Somil sir and Priya ma'am can add to it. There are a lot of dynamics getting changed within healthcare. Like ma'am told that neuro disorders, cancer disorders are getting into insurance sector. Just recently, if you people are accessing Paisa Bazaar, something, the platforms like Paisa Bazaar, just I think it's a month before, there are multiple insurance companies has opened the door for geriatric people. 60 years के बाद हम लोग इंश्योरेंस लिमिटेड इंश्योरेंस रहता था. Now there is no limit of age grouping in terms of when it comes to private insurance. So United Health Insurance Policies Committee is working too hard. The Central Committee is working too hard on it. So probably what is my take on it? Probably ma'am and sir can add into it that uh, within a very small time, it could be within 5 to 10 years, I think 60 to 70% of our population in the entire country should accessible to any sort of health insurance. There are different insurance provide, different government insurance policies are going on in by different state governments. If you go to Andhra Pradesh, you'll find some state government policies in terms of insurance. So yes, the public health policy is getting changed, and COVID has shown the door to multiple aspects. So multiple, just 2 weeks before, we are doing some large project on fertility, and you'll surprised to know that very soon IVF is going to become come under insurance coverage. So yes, definitely there are a lot of changes happening. Any other questions? Otherwise, we can proceed for the next session.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Myself, Mohammad Kadir from Spur Jami Amdad. Sir, I want to ask one question from ma'am. Like, ma'am, there is some kind of advantage of e-pharmacy, like good discount and customer relationship and doorstep delivery as well. Like, don't you think that there is some kind of risk as well, like drug abuse or illegal reselling of medicine on e-pharmacy?
So, Mohammed, thanks for that question. I think a lot of these e-pharmacies are facing those questions even from a lot of other people. But if you notice that if you order online on an e-pharmacy, they will not give you a product unless there is a valid prescription, or you have uploaded a prescription, or unless you get in touch with a doctor. Having said that, there are certain categories of drugs which the e-pharmacies will not still give it to you. Any of the Schedule X drugs, most of your local pharmacies will keep the prescription in triplicate and then hand over to you. Some of the Schedule H drugs also are coming under that category, where there is a black box warning or a red box warning that is coming in on those packs. So the government has made sure, or the the drug authorities have made sure that you don't look at any abuse that can happen for any of these products. I may also share with you this, that I was speaking to one of the e-pharmacy owners a few days ago, and even something like a multivitamin, they said that we will not give you more than a certain number of strips, primarily to ensure that there is no misuse. So there are those guards in place. Is, like I said, are we there 100% there? I wish we were. We are not. So it's going to take some time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mom.
Hello.
Yes, Shashi.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, just I want to ask that there is a electronic health record system in USA. So will it possible it will come in India soon? Like, what is your insights on it?
It's already there, Shashi. In fact, I have been fortunate to be part of a panel where there were eminent speakers from the tech and the space of electronic health record keeping, and from hospitals, where the process has already started. Where it started, I think, way back in 2010, where they had started some movement in terms of the tech and how we would want to get an aggregation of that record. And over a period of time, given the number of people that we are and the kind of disease profiles that we live with, that beginning has been made. Even now, with your vaccination records going in, that's going in into some form of an EHR. Of course, it's under a lot of debate in terms of privacy and what is the public access, but I'm not going to get into that area. But there is that building up. Are we there in EHR terms as to where the Western world is? Absolutely not. I think it's a vehement no. Are we beginning to realize the importance of EHR in an integrated ecosystem? Yes. That's where it is.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Just
Manas
to
has
add,
got
Sachin,
question on the
just
chat.
to
Yeah, Manas, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
to add ma'am's thing. I think government of India's digital health mission is a step forward looking into those categories. Is my understanding right, ma'am, on that? Ma'am,
Yes.
you're yeah.
Yes.
So there is another question coming from the chat box. How do you see, by Subham Singh, how do you see the future of manufacturing shaping up in coming times, especially generics? Because with these Tata, Reliance, Amazon, big supply chain players coming up, they are mostly likely to procure from the new farms they tie up with. So do you see number of generic pharma companies coming down, or your predictions, thoughts on the same, man?
Not at all. I see it growing. I see it sort of engaging. I will not be surprised if I see a lot of global players who are there in generics and not there in India right now will also sort of step in. The other thing is you will see a lot of brands that will come in from Reliance, Amazon, and Geo, which will be their own brands, their white labels, which they will convert for making sure that they are launched in the market. So this is going to be an interesting space. It's going to be a huge fight. We are going to see as consumers interesting times ahead. And I would urge that all of you become those change agents that will bring that change as we get into the future.
Thank you, ma'am. Any question? Otherwise, we can go for the next session. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot for your insights. On it's amazing session today. It's a great, for me also it's great learning from you. So with this, I think
Thank
thank you
you.
so much once again.
Thank you,
And
Priya
with
ma'am.
this, we
Thank you
One
can
so much for
question.
coming. Thank you so
One more
much.
question
one
coming.
more, ma'am. What are your views on e-pharmacy will pose a threat to local pharma companies' business, considering
Local pharma,
e-pharmacy?
local pharma companies business, is that the question?
Yeah.
Local
Considering
pharmacies
e-pharmacy,
business. Okay. Yeah.
local pharmacies business, considering e-pharmacies are offering 20 to 25% discounts.
Yeah, I think this is a pertinent question, and thank you for asking that. I think everybody, including the Association of Chemists and Druggists, also was worried about that. But I would just like to draw your attention to any of the places that have come in. You know, whether Amazon came in any of the products, have we stopped seeing our Kirana stores and have we stopped seeing our branded stores outlets losing out? Absolutely not. Even internationally, where you have e-pharmacies which have come in from a very long time, the brick and mortar stores probably have not, I would not say they have remained in their original form, but they have had to undergo some form of transformation, but they are still there. Because at the end of the day, that one-on-one interaction, that one-on-one physical presence of that store nearby, the familiarity with that store, the kind of human interaction is something that you are not going to let go of very easily. So whether in any space, of course, the share, they will start taking in more share as they start penetrating. But I think the whole overall market will expand because today we are actually not having the outreach to the largest possible population. So you will start getting more outreach, the share of the pie will increase, and everybody will get a share of the pie. Just one point here before I close on that. You will see, this is my prediction. I don't know what Reliance is going to do. I hope the Ambanis are not listening to me. But I think what they are going to do is they are going to come up with a hybrid model of e-pharmacy and offline pharmacies, where they are going to be there with stores. They're looking at about 6 to 7,000 stores that are going to come in within the country. So you will find that you can order online, you can also get it offline. So they understand the value. I presume Amazon, which is coming in, they have already launched in Bangalore city. They are also going to see this kind of a hybrid model soon. So will Tata. So and you can see Apollo, which has done the reverse now. If you see ads which are coming from Apollo Pharmacy, they were in the offline mode, physical brick and mortar stores. They are talking about coming online. So this is going to be fun, absolute fun. So it's an exciting time.
1mg has also already started, ma'am. I think there are multiple center. I have seen
Yes,
1mg
pharmacy has already
corporation.
started. Right.
Pharmacy has already started. Uh, See, my perception on around e-pharmacy is maybe Somil sir also can add it to it. my perception in e-pharmacy, yes, it is going to really transform in terms of when it comes to metro and tier 1, maybe tier 2 cities. But the challenges going to be remain in the rural areas. पत्ता काट के दवाई लेने वाला सिस्टम बहुत जल्दी बंद नहीं होने वाला है. We are in a country where people are अभी भी लोग बहुत गरीब हैं जो डेली वेजेस के थ्रू काम करते हैं. अभी हम जाते हैं, जब सपोज करो मैं बोलूं कि हम जाते हैं, those people who are in job, good earning, हम जाते हैं, बोलते हैं कॉम्बी प्लान का एक पत्ता देना, बड़ा सिंपल. क्रोसिन का एक पत्ता देना. फॉर अस हमें लगता है 15 रुपीज का पत्ता है, क्रोसिन 10 रुपए का पत्ता है. बट when you really stand in a rural pharmacy, you will find actually not only rural pharmacy, urban slum, बॉम्बे दिल्ली की स्लम एरिया में आप जाके देखिए, वहां पे अभी भी लोग आते हैं, भैया 2 क्रोसिन देना, सो पत्ता काट के देता है. सो yes, competition is going to be definitely there in the marketplace, but replacing the outlets which is there is going to take long time. And in the meantime, you never know, something is coming out of AIOCD, that they are also launching something on an anecdote across the country. So very difficult to predict, but yes, online pharmacy is going to be rock for some time now because of accessibility thing. कौन बाहर जाएगा गाड़ी चला के और दुकान से लेगा, इससे बेटर है कि 20% की डिस्काउंट में घर में बैठ के प्रेस्क्रिप्शन अपलोड करो और ले लो दवाई. So that's what I personally believe.
Manas, I will just add to that, right? I might also look at pharma looking at the way they are outreaching to their patients right now. And I was challenging my team the other day saying, why are we so hung up on having a strip? FMCG went from a big bottle of shampoo to a small sachet. Will pharma go that way? Remains to be seen, right?
Correct,
but
correct.
Of course, there are economic considerations. So I'm not going to talk about a business viability of this. But if that market remains as big as what we think, then this possibly could also be the way to go. That you go for your mini packs and you start.
And ma'am, also, Somil sir, being in oncology, patient support program where patients are getting the drug delivered directly by a third party who is not even a pharmacist or not even a distributor, and delivering at a doorstep. New business models are getting emerging day by day in chronic segments, and specifically oncology, cardiology, neurology. So yes, it is going to be very vibrant and dynamic market India is going to be. That's the reason, starting from Amazon to Google to Apple to IBM, everybody is getting hung up. Somebody is collaborating with Reliance, somebody is collaborating with Tata, somebody is collaborating with somebody else. And the way insurance sector, so banking sectors are getting immersed. If somebody will Google it out, I was doing some research to understand what is health insurance companies are doing. You'll surprised to see HDFC Bank or HDFC Insurance, they have collaborated with Apollo. They are saying, हमारी जो client है HDFC banks का, they will get free access to telemedicine of Apollo. So multiple elements, consumers are going to be going to get great benefit out of the entire fight between multinationals, domestic, technological transformation. That's what I can say.
And Manas, just one more point to add there. I think even pharma, beyond what I just spoke, is going to reinvent the way it is reaching, unless it wants to be left to be only a manufacturer then delivering. They are going to be reinventing the way they are going to get the outreach in terms of, for the patients, consumers, how our go-to-market models are going to change. And Manas rightly touched upon the point, what Somil will probably also elaborate on. All of us have worked on the healthcare at home models or, access models directly to the patient for various reasons. Plus, I'm hoping I will see startups coming out of Jamia Hamdard to tell us and pitch to the VCs saying, देखो हमने सोचा है ये भी हो सकता है. So these are the models we are foreseeing today, but it is open for disruption, and it is open for any form of disruption. Every single day that I talk to the bright young minds that I have at work, I'm amazed at the kind of thinking that they are bringing in and the kind of challenge that they are making to this models that we are there. So it is it is going to be, I think 10 years hence, this industry is going to be unrecognizable. So let's get, it's the IT, what IT did in the 90s for India, pharma is going to do in the next few decades for the industry.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks for your insights and knowledge sharing with the students with us. So with this, I'll take the permission from you to invite our next speaker.
Thank you, ma'am.
Uh,
Thank you, Priya, ma'am.
Thank you,
so,
okay, Babita. Thanks, Manas.
yeah,
And thank
thank
you
you.
everyone for a patient listening. Thank you.
I'd like to invite our next speaker, Somil Modi sir, and just give the background and the experience of Somil sir. It's my privilege and honor to give his introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, sir is coming with more than 2 decades of experience. Started his career as a medical representative way back in 1995 with Eli Lilly as a medical representative with Eli Lilly in Mumbai. Then, taking the ladder, being Eli Lilly for quite 6 years as first line manager, then regional manager with Johnson and Johnson. Then he got into Roche, and he spent around 12 years in Roche Oncology. And if I remember correctly, sir, with under your leadership, we have seen multiple products collaboration during your leadership time. We saw the collaboration with MCure when there is a new model came into market where this trastuzumab and rituximab has been given for third-party manufacturing with a different brand name. The concept got changed over there, and probably Herceptin created his own league in terms of creating the competition. Then sir switched to Izai, being there for around 5 years, worked there as a vice president and senior vice president. And last 2 years, sir is in the capacity of general manager oncology India business and managing a larger portfolio. India is one of the largest oncology portfolio I can say today. I think it is the largest today in India, if I understand correctly, sir. So having a multifold 25 years plus experience, I would like to invite Soumil Modi sir to throw some insights what he has seen since last 2 years in terms of chronic area, in terms of overall market dynamics that we are eager to listening from. Thank you so much, sir, and over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Manas. I hope I'm audible.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you. So first of all, a big thank you to the Vice Chancellor, Sir, Chancellor, Dr. Babita. Thank you very much for having me here, and Manas, thanks for facilitating this. So it's really a pleasure to come and interact with you. And honestly, when we all met at 2 o'clock, I asked Manas, I said, "Pehla session kiska hai?" So he said, Dr. Priya is going to speak first. And I was like, okay, because typically we call it the graveyard session, right? Post lunch, jo pehla aata hai na batsman, it's always difficult. And I think Priya did a fabulous job and a lot of learnings in that session, right? I mean, if you look at overall the way she described the disruption that has happened. And last 2 years, if someone has to summarize, right, what does 2020 and 21 stand for? The only word 2020 and 21 stand for is not COVID, but it stands only for disruption. And today, if you see, I mean, let's take examples of people at home, right? Today, when it comes to operating smartphones, when it comes to operating gadgets, and I give quite a few talks over the weekend and stuff, right? So normally the practices, and we are old timers, okay? Me, Priya, we spent like 25 years. So we're still relatively old timers in this industry, but our general practice is that we make notes, okay, and then we have certain points, so you know what you're speaking, you don't come unprepared for a meeting. So that's how we do generally. So even today it's a practice. Even if I have to present 2 slides, the notes are all there, and you ensure that the key points all are captured, because when you're presenting to senior management, to the US teams and all, you need to ensure that you don't lose track, right? So one day my son was seeing me doing this, because there was some work from home as well that was happening. And he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "You talking, sometimes you will lose eye contact with the people." I said, "But this is virtual, right? How will I lose eye contact?" He said, "If you look in the paper down, you lose." So I said, "What do I do?" And that was the first time he taught me how do you vertically split a screen. And through WhatsApp, he had all my notes. So I had my notes in front, I had my slides. So that's the type of disruption, right? So children have learned technology. My mom, she's 75. very comfortable with WhatsApp. She wanted to open a Facebook account in the last 2 years. So this is where, and I'm sure you see, all of you seen all this at your houses as well, right? Everyone wants to be ahead of the technology. Everyone wants to be ahead of the curve. And as I said, the only word in the last 2 years is disruption. So let me do one thing. I don't have too many slides. I just have a few slides to talk about. Let me just.
वो सर तीन तीन बुलेट है ना सर, 3 डॉट्स है उसके बगल में, देखिए सर घेरा होगा.
So while Somil is putting this up, I'm going to just add to what he said right now. This disruption is not only happening at all fronts, but Somil, old school sometimes works. Neuroscience is now coming back to say writing it out is far better than typing it out. It helps in retention.
Exactly.
It helps in changing brain patterns. So guys, don't leave the habit of writing, guys and girls. Please continue it.
So I think we both are struggling today with technology. I'm not sure why.
No, there's an issue with sharing the screen, Somil. When you're sharing it from here, it's not coming up.
Option. It just gives me 3 things: your entire screen, a window, or tab.
Window. Click on
Window. Go to window and start sharing.
Share.
But then that's where I struggled with getting it full screen.
Share. 1 second.
आ रहा है सर, आ रहा है. Sir, आप ना, when you are sharing your screen, window, click on the presentation that you want to share. अभी क्या है कि या तो you share on the full screen, sir. सर आपकी म्यूट हो गया, सर आपका म्यूट हो गया.
मानस, हम लोग ना सब टीम्स वाले हैं, तुम गूगल पे शेयर करवा रहे हो हमसे, तो इसलिए फर्क हो रहा है. This is where it is. We are in Microsoft Teams.
सर आप मेरे को नहीं तो भेज सकते, तो भेज दो, मैं इधर से डिस्प्ले.
This will let you take over from Somil Modi as the main presenter here. Share now.
अब सर स्टॉप शेयरिंग करो एक बार, मैं फिर बताता हूँ. आप स्टॉप शेयरिंग कर लो एक बार.
Okay, it was there actually.
हाँ,
Somil, send it to Manas. It's the best and fastest thing to do.
That's the best part. Manas, jara email ID de. Sorry guys.
mranjan@cognitrex.in, sir. mranjan.
But I want to put a disclaimer while Somil is doing this. We are not technologically challenged at any point. Please don't make that impression.
Manas is mranjan at okay, I have it.
Cognitrex.in, yeah.
Cognitrex.in.
Yeah, I have it. It's there.
Manas, this will be the biggest irony, right? I'm talking of technological disruption, and both Somil and me can't get our screens up on this. They are going to think, what are these guys talking about?
Ma'am, actually क्या है, अगर आप ना कोई प्लेटफॉर्म में continuously your hands are on continuously ना, then you feel comfortable with Microsoft Teams but let me tell you one thing. Nowadays Microsoft Teams has lot of issues in terms of getting hanged up.
Yeah.
So,
I'm familiar with Google Chrome as well, Manas. I do a lot of work on Google Chrome, but somehow there is an error, something happening today when we are probably accessing it from outside.
It's not allowing us to share, but no worries, Manas. I'll just send you the presentation. I hope you received it. So maybe till Manas pulls up the presentation, and even if it doesn't come up, I'll share my slides. But let me take off while Priya and Manas were talking about healthcare, right? And one of the important things, Priya took us through the entire disruption that's going to happen from a supply chain perspective. Okay, let's look at India as a country per se, right? And when you look at our income pyramid, that slide will come up shortly. But guys, just bear with me and imagine a triangle, right? Imagine an income pyramid. There you have a very small proportion on the top. That's the affluent population. They can afford the moon, right? If they want even something, they'll fly to the US, get treatment, XYZ, everything will happen. Then you have a huge middle class. You have the upper middle class, you have the middle class, and the lower middle class. And then finally, you have an entire population that's the below poverty line population. So you heard something in the previous session on universal healthcare, right? So they spoke about PMJY. So what is this whole PMJY all about? For people who've not heard about it or something, it's basically a universal health cover that the government is trying to offer to people who are below the poverty line population. Now, something which never happened in our country for so many years, right? And this is a huge thing. Imagine someone who is not even earning, say, 2,000, 2,000 or 3,000 rupees a month, or even sometimes in 2 months, and these people get a health cover of 500,000, 5 lakh Indian rupees. That's a huge element, right? Of course, one can always argue that is this enough? Will we be able to cover all the entire medicines in this? Will we be able to cover oncology? We don't know. But at least something is better than nothing. That family which did not have anything is now going to get covered for medical insurance, and the treatment will be offered to them. What is the government doing at this stage now? So that's the below poverty line. So again, going back to the triangle, right? You have the affluent population, you have the upper middle class. Upper middle class will manage somehow, take a loan, this, that, some things will happen, they'll manage treatment. The biggest issue is of the middle class and the lower middle class. Neither are they covered by the government because there is no cover that's available to them. Neither they can afford out of pocket as well. So what the government is trying to do is, like we have a below poverty line program, like you have Ayushman Bharat for the below poverty line population, they're also going to now introduce a medical cover for the middle and the lower middle. You might have to pay a very small premium, but there also everyone will get a cover of approximately 500,000 INR, which is like a huge amount. So right, we are moving, this country is moving in an era of universal healthcare, and that's where it's going to be a huge opportunity, as we say, moving forward. And what will really support this, if you look at the last 2 years, right, when the government started, Manas, you can go to the first slide actually, the second one in fact, when the government started talking about vaccination, and everyone was a I think critic at that time that it's just not possible to give so many vaccine shots in our country. But believe me, today we are in an era where there's so much of digitalization, there's so much of people having access to telemedicines and stuff. But remember, this is the same country where polio was eradicated, right? At that time, you did not have so many sophisticated Aadhaar cards and tracking and co-wins and all Arogya Setus and all this app. So that was also possible. The COVID vaccine story by itself is very successful in our country. So similarly, when you look at what's happened in the last 2 years, and there's a lot of data, you can read through the slides, I'll mail it to Manas also. But if you really look at the last 2 years, one of the things that has really gone well as far as our country is concerned is everyone has gradually accepted the disruption. So it's not an area where, people said, nahi, ye to chalega hi nahi. E-pharmacies are there, they are here to stay. At the same time, your local pharmacy outside your house is also here to stay. So there will be a complete ecosystem, which will be a combination of digital plus face-to-face, right? We call it phygital. So moving forward, if you ask me what is the model going to be, whether it is a customer model, whether it is a delivery model, whatever model you anticipate, it's always going to be a phygital model. So when you think about yourself, right? I mean, now malls are opening up. So if you want to order, you'll say, okay, chalo Sunday दोपहर को थोड़ा window shopping भी करते, थोड़ा shopping भी कर लेते. And sometimes if you get bored, Myntra's got some great schemes. Let me sit at home and let me order clothes online. So it's always a combination. So it's going to be a phygital model as we move ahead in the years to come as well. Manas, next slide, please. And if you look at how has the customer treatment seeking behavior changed, right? And so if you look at the pre-pandemic era, that's pre-COVID, 95% of the care centers were in urban areas. And I'll talk a little more about it because Manas also alluded to the fact, right, that rural India, people will still buy 1 tablet, 2 tablets. And let me give you an oncology lens to it. All these years, what used to happen is that oncology was concentrated in major centers. Okay, it would be concentrated, oncology, that is cancer care, would be concentrated in Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, all the major metros and the tier ones that you can think of. If I'm staying in Kanpur, I have enough money, I will not trust my oncologist in Kanpur. I'll say I'll take a flight from Lucknow, go to Delhi, get treated. I will not get treated by a doctor in UP. I don't want to get treated here. I will take a flight, go to Delhi, get treated and come back. Similarly, if I'm in Jaipur, if I don't want, Delhi is not away, and so on and so forth for a lot of cities across. So what essentially used to happen pre-pandemic is there was a lot of flow of patients who are coming from tier 1s, tier 2s. I don't know how many of you, with your show of hands, or you can type Y in the box as well, how many of you have heard about CMC Medical College in Vellore? A quick show of hands, maybe that helps us ensure that all of you awake as well, yeah? I said this is a graveyard session post-lunch, so it's difficult on a Sunday afternoon. So, okay, Shashi's heard about it, Vanishika's heard, Kalpana's heard, Shubham's heard. Excellent. Second, question number 2. How many of you heard about Tata Memorial Hospital in Bombay? Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your responses. Thanks, Kale. Thanks, Kalpana. And so the reason for asking you this question also was that before COVID, if you would take 100 patients who were coming to a CMC Vellore, or if you take 100 patients who were coming to Tata Hospital for treatment, almost 70% of these patients were coming from tier 2, tier 3s, or from the far northeast. Okay, even today, if you go to CMC Vellore, you will find that at least 50 to 60% of the patients come from the eastern part of the country. They are not from Tamil Nadu. Okay, so this is a huge thing. People used to travel from one place to the other just to get treatment, because they either had a trust deficit with their doctors who were sitting in those towns, or the facilities were just not available. So this was the situation pre-pandemic. How has it changed post-pandemic? One is government has legalized telemedicine. I think this is the biggest step forward that has happened. Earlier, this was not there, right? So doctors were also scared. If I do something on a consultation, digital consultation, if the patient reports wrong symptoms, I give a prescription, patient dies, I'll be behind bars. So, everyone was very scared. They had their own worries around the whole telemedicine aspect. But now government has legalized telemedicine as well. Also, what has happened is people are very comfortable. They said, okay, if that's the case, if I can do one consultation face to face and the remaining 5 consultations online, I would prefer to do that as well. So that's something that has really emerged in the last few months or years, to last couple of years to say. And if you look at the next slide, Manas, one of the key elements that I spoke earlier, and I would request you to look at the lower part of the chart, right? Where if you look at where 70% metros is written. So when I take an example of a city like Bombay, 30% of these patients used to come from Bombay pre-pandemic, say in a Tata Memorial Hospital, and 70% of the patients used to come from different parts of the country. They would travel 24 hours, 48 hours by train and come to Tata for treatment. And same was the case in Delhi, same was the case in a lot of places across the country. But now what has happened is, because of the pandemic, huge disruption, people could not travel, right? For 18 months, 2 years, people could not move out of their houses. And primarily because of that, now in metros, almost 70% of the patients are local, and only 30% of the patients come from outstation. What is the implication of this? The implication is, let me give you a very Delhi example, right? Because all of you based in Delhi, so you'll understand the geography a little better. If you would have spoken about 2 years back, right? And if there is someone who wants to take oncology treatment staying in Hisar, that guy would never take treatment in Hisar. They would immediately come down to Delhi, pass mein hai, 2 hours drive, let's go to Batra, or let's go here and there, take treatment and come back. Today, those patients don't come to Delhi anymore. When we talk to oncologists in Delhi, and that first feedback that we have is कि जितना periphery का patient था सब बंद हो गया है, because they are very comfortable and they see the prescription. They said Delhi जाके भी यही prescription मिलता है, हमारे city में भी यही मिलता है, तो इतना क्यों travel करने का? So the trust is also improving among the local doctors, and because of this, the most important part now is, as companies, what we also need to recognize is that gone are the days where we can only focus on metros, right? The entire focus is now shifting to tier 2s and tier 3s from a specialty care perspective as well. So I'm not talking only of mass market or infectious diseases, but if you look at specialty care also, the entire bit is now shifting to tier 2s and tier 3s. And today, when you see all the new DMs who pass out, if you see all the new doctors who pass out, a lot of them, they are very clear in their third year that I'm not going to go and practice in a Mumbai or a Delhi. I might as well go to Solapur and start my own practice. I might as well go to Kolhapur and start my own practice, or Hisar or Jammu or whatever the case may be, because patients are always there, right? And that's a complete change in the thought process that has happened over a period of time. And that's primarily because of COVID. If that was not the situation, these patients would have continued to come to the metros and it would have been business as usual. But because of COVID, you always find something, right? If this is not working, what's my plan B? If my plan B doesn't work, what's my plan C? And unfortunately, friends, what also happened during COVID, I'm sure a lot of you would have seen this in and around where you stay, that a lot of patients also did not get diagnosed, right? And when we talk of cancer, or when we talk of any ailment for that matter, early diagnosis is always important. But because of COVID, you couldn't move out of the house. The diagnosis did not happen. And after 10 months or 12 months, when situations went bad, that's when these patients came to the hospital in a much advanced stage of disease. So all these things were really very I would say sad when the whole 2 years of pandemic was there. Although there was telemedicine and all, but there were certain issues around it. But today now that would no longer be a constraint, because if you ask me, I'm very comfortable. If there is a doctor in Hisar, go there and take a treatment. If there's a doctor here, because the treatment protocols are more or less standardized. You have one click and you have all the standard protocols which are available, and they'll treat patients based on. Moving on to the next slide. If you look at customer interactions, right, and ours is a very interesting industry. Okay, I mean, pharma is one of the industries, and I think Priya showed you a whole list of career options that you would have once you finish your respective graduations, postgrads, or whatever the case may be. If you go back to our days, when we graduated, the only option was go to US, study there, come back, or take up a job there. Or here the option was to join as a medical rep and then grow in the company, as most of us have done in our careers, right? So if you look at this specific chart, what used to happen is pre-COVID, most of the calls that we were making on the doctors, the customer interactions, and ours is a very unique industry, unlike FMCG where customer and consumer is different, right? Our customer is the doctor, but our consumer is the patient. And kindly keep this thought in mind. I will come back to it again in the end, that how the entire shift is happening. Pharma always, all these years, if you see, and Manas, Priya, please feel free to add, our industry was always a customer-centric industry. Only in oncology and chronic diseases like diabetes care or cardio, you would have patient engagement programs, you would have counselors who would speak. But this is a thing that has happened in the last 10 or 12 years. It was not there before, friends. It was all around the doctor. If the doctor is God, right? If he writes your product, you are done. Your targets are done. Companies doing well, 10% growth, 20% growth, all those things happen. So when the customer and consumer is different, if you see the pattern pre-COVID, right, that's April 20, look at the graph above. Almost 100% of the interaction was happening face to face. Everyone wanted to go and meet the doctors face to face. And as the COVID wave increased, what happened is the face to face interactions went down and the digital interactions started going up. And that happened till last year, March, the same scenario, right? And last year, March, again, COVID hit us very badly. The second wave hit us very badly. So again, the face-to-face went down. And again, the virtual interaction started increasing. Point we're trying to make here is that, as we spoke about the e-pharmacy example, right? One of the key things is India is always going to be hybrid. There will never be a situation that you will be able to take out reps from the field and say, "अरे तुम लोग कोविड के वक्त तो लैपटॉप से करते थे ना sales. You were able to call on doctors on the laptop and they were prescribing your products." It's not going to stay for long. Okay, there will be a place for that. People may not want to travel and do meetings and all online, but the value of human interaction is here to stay. And if you refer to some of the questions you guys asked Priya and Manas earlier, that with e-pharmacies coming in, will our local pharmacy go away? It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. E-pharmacy is always an added option, right? As the example I gave you, you would like to shop from Myntra, no problem. Ghar pe baith ke, comfort of your room, keep on sending stuff back if you don't like it. But at the same time, you would also like to go to the mall and do that experience for yourself. So that way, in India also, I think the model that we are going to evolve over a period of time is going to be a phygital model. It's not going to be a completely digital model. It's not going to be a completely face-to-face model as well. It's going to be a completely phygital model as we move ahead in the years to come. Next slide, please. And this is another example. If you see that we thought that most of the teleconsultations that will happen only from the metros. But if you see, almost 44% of the teleconsultation also happened in non-metros. Doctors, 50% of the doctors said digital platforms are good enough. Teleconsultation service from first-time users, 80% of the patients who availed of teleconsultation services were using it for the first time. They have never done teleconsultation in their life. So this is the amount of digital disruption that has happened. And this is here to stay. And why do we say this is here to stay? What people may do is they may do the first consultation face-to-face, and the remaining consultations they might also do digitally as time progresses. Because if there is nothing that has gone wrong in the disease, if the disease is stable, it's only a question of a repeat prescription or a repeat consultation. They might want to do it digitally as well. And one of the points that came up earlier was, right, what happens to our non-metros? And that's where the government is doing a huge effort. I mean, we are in an area of a therapeutic area that we work in called sickle cell disease. I don't know how many of you heard about sickle cell disease. And this has been a very in 25 years, believe me, I've never had a learning like this. And what happens here is the patients are all in the tribal areas. Okay, you will not find, you may get one odd patient in a Bombay or a Delhi who has sickle cell, but 98% of the patients who have sickle cell disease are in the tribal areas, who don't even get 2 square meals in a day. Government is ready to pay whatever 2000 crores 3000 crores to treat this patient. The money is not a problem. So this is a very unique situation we are in. There's enough money available to buy medicines and treat and provide treatment. We know where the patients are sitting, but there's a huge gap. Neither is the patient able to come to a primary healthcare center, nor are we able to take these funds to a primary healthcare center. So there's a huge gap here in terms of providing access to treatment, and it's not so easy, right? Tomorrow, as a company, we will say, okay, let's do one thing. Let's run programs. We have a fantastic team called Arogya Parivar. The only job, Priya gave a parallel example earlier. The only job of the train that she gave the example, right? And we have a team of around 600, 700 people in one of our businesses called Arogya Parivar. Their only job is to take nurses, their only job is to take primary healthcare physicians to villages, to interior villages, and keep on screening the villagers for diabetes, hypertension, all other pain ailments and stuff, and whatever medicines are required are dispensed there and then. So we thought, okay, let's look at a model where we can get these patients from the tribal areas to a primary healthcare center. I'm not even saying, or a community healthcare center. I'm not even saying a district hospital or a government hospital. But even the challenge in that is that in all the primary healthcare centers or community healthcare centers, you don't even have half a doctor or one nurse there. Okay, and then what will you do? You may get the patients there, but who will treat the patients is a challenge. So one of the important areas that companies are looking at now, and that companies are working very closely with the government, right, is on the area of health system strengthening. And what do we mean by health system strengthening? Health system strengthening, because this is something which will be a game changer in the years to come. Health system strengthening is something where we take all the capabilities from the metros. You take doctors from metros, either through a digital platform or physically, and train all the doctors, ashawadi, angan workers. You train all them in screening, in initial treatment and things like that. And that really is healthcare strengthening, because then what will happen? Money is available. There is no dearth of money in this country, believe me. To provide healthcare, there is no dearth of money. It's only a question of how the funds can be channelized in the right way so that it can reach the poor patient. And unless we don't have people in the primary healthcare center, or in the secondary healthcare center, or in the community center who can treat, if you don't have qualified doctors there, it's not going to work. So I think as multinationals, a lot of companies now are putting a lot of emphasis on health system strengthening. I mean, we run a huge project in Orissa along with Japaigo, that's an India industry body that we work with. Of course, it's a US body. They have a tie-up in India, and the primary thing that they do is they tie up, they educate ASHA workers and doctors. They go home to home, and they only treat women. That how can you pick up lumps, and they teach them the importance of self screening in breast cancer. So as the awareness goes up, if a lady in a village is able to pick up a lump much earlier and get to a primary healthcare center, we can save a life. We don't want her to get a metastatic disease all over her body and come to us in a final stage. So that's the level of work that's happening across the country. And because of COVID, what's going to happen is the digital wave will be effectively now used to really ensure that the health system strengthening in India is taken to the next level. So that's something that a lot of us are working on, and you will hear about this more and more. And believe me, when it was pharma earlier, I mean, 15, 20 years back, if you would ask what is a typical pharma structure, going back to the slide Priya showed you, right, what career opportunities are available. For us, it was very simple. It was sales, it was marketing, regulatory, and a few other functions. Supply chain, very, very standard organogram, so to say. But now today, if you look at any pharmaceutical company, there are a lot of areas like policy, there's a lot of area like advocacy, there's a lot of areas like communication and advocacy, creating patient groups. So a lot of new roles have started coming in, and where some of you who would be interested really need to look at it, that how can we influence policy so that it can really help us take healthcare to the last milestone. So a lot of disruption is happening in the industry. Digital is playing its role there, and I would really urge you to read more about patient advocacy, read more about how we can shape the policy in pharma healthcare, because moving forward, I think that's where the future is. The future is not in terms of getting into a doctor's chamber and selling medicines, that will still remain. But if we're really looking at unlocking the access or unlocking the potential in India, it's going to be huge policy work that we can do, which will really help us to get to the masses and just not restrict ourselves to a small proportion of the country. Moving on, I think these are my last two concluding slides, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So the whole idea, as I said in the beginning as well, right? Government's endeavor, apart from working on the bottom of the pyramid below poverty line, government's endeavor is now to ensure that they also start working on the middle of the pyramid. That's the upper middle class, lower middle class. The day they really crack this whole thing, believe me, I mean, our whole healthcare system will be at the next level. And that's what everyone's making an effort right now to work on. And I made one statement earlier, right? If you could go to the last slide, Manas, I said ours is a very unique industry where customer and consumer is different, right? So all these years, if you would have asked me to present this slide 10 or 15 years back, there would be no patient here. There would be a doctor in the center of all this. Okay, and then you have a lot of things moving around the doctor, programs, gifts, A, B, C, D, E things, everything revolving around the doctor. But now today, the whole paradigm has changed. When we talk of specialty business, when we talk of chronic businesses, patient is at the center. Manas mentioned about providing PAP, right? Special support that goes to the patient, providing counseling to the patient. So now the biggest disruption that has happened is everyone genuinely thinks that how can I be closer to the consumer? If you see this whole story on Amazon, you see Dunzo, you see everything. How can I ensure that it comes to your home without any discomfort? So if you look at it now, the whole paradigm is shifting. Doctors are equally important, but whether it is an e-pharmacy, whether it is the apps that are available, whether it's the pharma industry, health insurance, everything is starting revolving around the patient. That how can we create a complete ecosystem? And without an ecosystem, I may not have all the products for an ecosystem, but I may still create an ecosystem for breast cancer. I may be operating in a very small part. But if I can create a complete ecosystem around awareness, taking the patient to a hospital, ensuring a PET scan is available, ensuring there's a doctor who can do an FNAC is available. So if you can provide a complete ecosystem to a patient, it's something called as a one-stop shop, right? You don't have to go to 10 different places to shop. So if you can create that ecosystem, that's something that will really help build the future as well. So with that, I think I will stop here. It's been a long Sunday afternoon, but I'm happy to take a few questions. And anyone, I'll share this slides with Manas so we can share it with you as well. But anyone has any questions, happy to answer. And thank you for your patient listening as well.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really great learning, the multiple facets of information with your presentation. Just from my side, sir, yesterday we had a session with Dr. Charudat Arora, and it was a big surprise to me at least. I don't know how many of you people have listened about it. The future is what he called as health holiday. Post discharge from the hospital, along with the doctor, there is holiday getting planned. So beat any patient. I mean, it's primarily looking into the stress-induced patient, primarily neurological, diabetes, cardiology. Probably somebody is getting discharged from the hospital after a long time, after rheumatic things or orthopedic things. So the module is getting changed day by day. Every morning you get up in the morning and Google it out, something new is coming up in healthcare. And disruption has given us the opportunity to create a lot of things. End of the day, what you mentioned, sir, that taking healthcare to the last mile is the key, and we are actually far away from it. Sitting at Delhi, Mumbai, it is very easy for us to sitting on the laptop talking about a lot. But if you get into rural villages of our country, then we'll find that there is a lot of things which needs to be taken care on healthcare aspect. So any questions, students and faculties and industry people, if anybody has any questions, it's a fantastic session. Though it's a Sunday, मेरे को भी सर थोड़ा सा नींद आ रहा था बीच में, but when you started your presentation, generally as a moderator मैं क्या करता हूँ, बंद करके सुनता रहता हूँ और बीच में थोड़ा झपकी भी ले लेता है जब आप आदमी बंद करते हैं. But trust me, sir, I just heard both your presentation and Priya ma'am's presentation thoroughly. It's a great learning. Anybody has any questions on?
I have a question. to Somil sir. There is like as Priya ma'am told that there are like the trains and the mobile trains will be there for helping the patients, and they will be reaching to the areas where the people cannot reach to the direct. So oncologists will be also been will be there on the these mobile trains and for the support to the patients.
Yeah, so there is a cancer train that runs from Punjab to Rajasthan. I don't know how many of you heard about it. That takes all the patients from Punjab to a tertiary care center in Rajasthan. I think it's in Jodhpur or somewhere. So they take patients there, they get treated there, and then they take those patients back. That's the one example of a cancer train that we have in the country. It's called the cancer train only, and that's an example that we have that's running between Punjab and Rajasthan for quite some time. Oncology, Dr. Bobita, what's happening is in the last few years, there have been a lot of initiatives which I spoke about health system strengthening because the awareness is going up. And in fact, if you would have seen in my first slide, right, the paradox in our country is everyone talks of health, right? Government wants to give Ayushman Bharat, better access, better diagnosis and all. But at the end of the day, health is a state subject, and we have 28 different states. Everyone thinks in a different direction. So
Yes.
standardization of care is always going to be difficult, but the good part here is that all the states have understood one thing now. That, I mean, when I say states, it's the government running those states, right? Everyone has understood one thing, that all these years we've kept people busy on politics, on roti kapda makan and stuff, but now if we don't put our efforts as far as healthcare is concerned, they're not going to win the next elections. As simple as that. So, the whole focus is now shifting away from just talking about issues to moving to things which are more about providing healthcare. And you look at states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, I mean, their healthcare system is so strong. West Bengal, I will tell you, I mean, West Bengal, in all other states, there's only cover for below poverty line patients. West Bengal is the only state, they have a scheme called Swasthya Sarathi. So if I'm a resident of West Bengal, I can go and get a Swasthya Sarathi card, irrespective of wherever I fall in the income pyramid. I may be an affluent, I may be upper middle class, middle class. I get treatment up to 500,000 free in the state, and which no other state in the country does today. You go to the northeastern part of the country, there's so much money available there. Government actually, Assam and all, they buy so much medicines for the patient. Even expensive oncology medicines are dispensed free. So, there is a lot of awareness. But again, the point here being that the geography is so vast, right? I mean, to reach the last patient in the country is always going to be a challenge. So that is a challenge for us. But I think efforts are being made across to go district by district, state by state, screen populations, get as many people into the mainstream as possible. And I think with this digital disruption, things will improve much more than what the pace will be much faster than what it was in the past. I can say that.
And do you like as you told about the tribal people? So do you got some responses, good responses that tribal people have reached to you or to the primary health centers or somewhere else?
Yeah, let
You
me
have some
first.
data like about that.
No, sure, I'll give you that. Let me first give you an example. So, when I joined Novartis, I took over in the middle of COVID, right? And then my policy colleague told me, sir, for sickle cell, we have to go to this place called Burla in Orissa. Now, I had
Orissa.
never heard, Orissa, of course, I know, but I had never heard of a place called Burla in Orissa. There's a medical college, and it's a sickle cell belt. Highest number of patients are in Burla. So I said, ठीक है, कैसे जाएंगे? So he said, see sir, वहाँ होटल बोटल तो कुछ नहीं है. The only way you can go is you can go to Calcutta, and if we take a train, we reach there in the morning, do our work, and afternoon का train लेके वापस जाएंगे. मैं like थोड़ा difficult, और कुछ option है क्या अपने पास? He said, there's a place called Jagsugra. Now I have never heard these places in the past, even after being in the industry for such a long time. He said, एक flight land होता है, अपने पास 4 घंटे का window है. I will fix all appointments. We land. Okay, that airport. There's an airport in a place called Jagsugra. Air India का plane जाता है. We landed, वहां से 1 घंटा कॉलेज गए, 2 घंटा काम किया. We took a train back to Calcutta. So there is connectivity in all these places. From a tribal population, we've got good feedback. So we've gone as interiors of Andhra, and sickle cell का ना पूरा belt है. So we've gone into interiors of Rajasthan towards southern Rajasthan. We've gone into the northern Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, the whole belt. And we've looked at Orissa. Chhattisgarh is the capital, and Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand is the capital for sickle cell. The type of work we're doing right now is we have mobile ambulances, we have a lot of other things. The whole effort right now, Dr. Babita, is to just get a list of all these patients. The problem today is that we have money. We know there are patients, but doctors are also not trained to see sickle cell because इनके symptoms इतने vague होता है. They come with, I have too much pain in my body. Now that is a vague symptom. They come to a hospital. The junior doctors who are attending, he will never understand that पेन क्या होता है, पेन में he'll give a painkiller, but he doesn't know कि इसको vascular crisis हुआ है, because of which there is pain. Okay, so I think वो सारा education is on right now. What we trying to do is first create a database, because the government giving us 100 crores, 205 crores, 100 crores is no use, because that money is not being used. Last year we got a huge fund, but because we did not have a database of patients, we never knew how to get these patients into the main channel as far as treatment is concerned. So right now we are focusing, we see some very good results. At the same time, there are a lot of people individually, whether it is in the Nilgiris. There's one gentleman by the name Dr. Dexter Patel, southern part of Gujarat, phenomenal work. He goes to every village, treats the patient on his own. So isolated pockets of excellence काफी है. What we're trying to do is get all of them together, so that then we are in a better position to provide standardized care. And this is a work which will take at least 5 to 10 years. This is not something that overnight अपने देश में होगा. But the amount of ground we've covered, tribal ministry now speaks of sickle cell disease. Disability Act में they included. When COVID vaccines came, the amount of noise we made through these associations, everyone who had sickle got COVID vaccine on a priority. So things are moving, but all these things take time. I mean, it's not that हमने announce किया and next day it happens. These are all health system strengthening processes which take a long time to implement and work on.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, another question coming from Kalpana Jutsi. Sir, thanks for the session. What are the ways in which university system can be partner for strengthening the healthcare system, thus bridging the gap?
Sorry, Manas, can you just repeat it once again?
What are the ways in which university system can be partner for strengthening healthcare system, thus bridging the gap?
No, I think that's a very good point, Kalpana. And the way we look at it, health system strengthening, the more people who can join, the better it is, right? So today, let's take specific examples. Now, if we want to increase the awareness, that how do you do, say, self-screening of breast cancer? Now, for that, if there are people in the university, say if there are nurses who are trained, or if there are doctors who are trained, or even students who are trained, if they can help us adopt a few villages, we go there in those villages, we teach the ASHA workers as to how to teach the people in those villages. Remember, these ASHA workers have a fantastic network. They know everything. किसके घर में कितने लोग हैं, कितने बच्चे हैं, vaccination कभी due है. They have the last mile detail of every patient. That's a phenomenal thing that we have in the country. If as students you can come forward, help us train these guys, that would be a huge step towards health system strengthening. And I think honestly, before you said this, we never thought of it, right? We always thought we'll tie up with UNICEF, we'll tie up with this, we'll tie up with this, and let's do health system strengthening. But I think you make a very good point that if we can tie up with academia, we can tie up with students, then this can really help us increase, right? So the more hands join together, the more system strengthening can happen. So fantastic point, something you've given me to go back and think as to how we can do this.
Sir, 1,400 pharma colleges in India producing 90,000 students in a year. And if I multiply into, 14,000 into 240, 60 ka batch minimum hota hai, sir.
Correct.
I have written back to Prime Minister of Office since COVID time, kam se kam 50 baar likh chuka. So I think they have busy with multiple things. Someday they will be start to hearing it out. We got a fantastic population of pharmacists, sir, जिनको हमें anatomy पता है, physiology पता है, pharmacology पता है. We just need the holding hand. The students need the holding hands to get it trained. And I'm sure it's not only, sir, कि हम दिल्ली में बैठे हुए हैं. If you look at the entire pharmacy PCI के साथ collaboration करके, Pharmacy Council of India के साथ collaboration करिए, you'll be reaching Andhra Pradesh, you'll be reaching every corner of this country. हर बंदा गांव से आता है, sir. 90% people are coming from the villages. So thank you so much, Kalpana. It's really it's
great idea, and believe me, I'll take your details from Dr. Babita at some point, and someone in our team will connect, because the idea here is that Manas, now see, in our pharmacy days we used to have that 1 month, 2 month compulsory industry training, right? Industry training is industry training. Nowadays you don't have that many manufacturing facilities also. कहाँ जाके लोग industry training करेंगे? So if we have projects like this, that can really help us learn as well as contribute to the society. I don't know, Priya, what you think about it, but I think this was a brilliant suggestion.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Sir, in at my time, normally when I was studying in medicine, so we used to do like this only. We used to go to the villages. We used to teach this to people over there. And when I started my practice, I started with the rural area. It is in Delhi. It is in Nangloi. So I just did my practice in the rural area because I really wanted to give back to the society. I never, I and my husband, I just wanted to say over here, we never had a consultation fee till date. Till date, we never take consultation fee from the patient because we wanted to teach them. And normally, I used to teach them first and then we treat them. So ultimately, they understood what is the problem they are facing with and how they can come out of it. And ultimately, whenever they see a particular disease or particular something happening to a patient around them, so they will help them and when they can understand and map the things. And ultimately, the patient when comes to us, we were very happy that few of the things were being done at the earlier stage only. When we at least the treatment has a small first aid has been given to them so that we can do the part of the specialization. So this is how this is the things if we can do really it will work out.
No, ma'am, that's very very noble of you to do this over the years. And believe me, I mean, friends, everyone who's on the session right now, when we come for these talks, we pick up a lot of things while interacting with you, right? And I think today, this 2.5 hours that we've interacted, I think this has been the biggest a breakthrough idea we've heard after a very long time, which will like benefit everyone at large. It's not about benefiting one person, two people, or one or two companies, but if we really work on it, ऐसा नहीं कि overnight होगा, but in a step-wise fashion. I mean, because we all go to a lot many pharmacy colleges as well, right? We go there as speakers, we are on their boards, talk to them. But if we can have some concentrated program going here, it can really help us in health system strengthening. So,
and I just wanted to add one more thing. My PhD is in IT interventions in large hospitals of Delhi. And I did it, and it was like, what about e-learning, e-training, e-OPD, e-consultation, and how many beds we are. What I found that in the government hospital, they put the IT, but it has been not used properly because the healthcare workers were reluctant to go for the training and everything. And then when I went to the private hospitals, they were like semi. It was a partial they will be using only in one or two hospitals of like a corporate hospital and also a private hospital, multi speciality. They are using completely the IT. And what I found that they were reluctant to have this training. And when people in the metropolitan cities are reluctant, then how you can just work on rural area? And immediately this COVID era came, and the complete paradigm transformation and everything, and they are now forced to do all those training, and there are the results we are getting it. We are getting those results, and my complete PhD was like I was about to tell people that it has been done, and I found each and everything. The formats I've done made. I have made the quality model also, how we can work it out and everything. So this was my research with IP University. I have done it, and I was like, and 100% everybody was asking, did you know that the COVID is coming? So I said, no, I didn't know. If I would have known, then I would have stopped the COVID.
correct.
So this was how it is. And a
Just to
complete
add,
the paradigm I was saying, whatever I have researched, it is absolutely now it is mapped on the whole world. It is on the globe now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
so just to add, Babita ma'am's thing. Recently, during the COVID time only, just 6 months before, after the second wave, so I came out from a very dangerous threat of COVID. So we started a program called Train the Trainer. This is a new vertical we have started. And just to add, we picked up one multinationals project within the gynec space. And we did a pilot by, I picked up a few doctors from Maharashtra only. And it was exclusively for the government institutions. And we sent out doctors to those remote areas. The medical representative was being with the doctor. He picked up the doctor from Pune, Nagpur, or some area, and we went there into the district hospitals or smaller hospitals where the training is being imparted. And post that training, what was the problem? The multinational company was able to supply that device to that hospital, but that was lying in the table. It was not. They are not able to use it properly. So post training, the sales picked up like anything, and the utilization has been picked up like anything. So recently we have picked up another thing on diabetes care, and we are looking into chronic therapy areas, taking this thing entire into the rural area. I'm very focused on rural areas now because मेट्रो में तो सर सब है सर, कोई ना कोई कुछ ना कुछ कर ही रहा है, पेशेंट सपोर्ट प्रोग्राम चल रहा है, रूरल में कोई नहीं है। सो as I told to Priya ma'am during her speech, I am working with 4 startups where they are specifically looking at a very innovative model. कि एक गांव है, एक पंचायत है, फॉर एग्जांपल दिस पंचायत इज सराउंडेड बाय अराउंड 25 villages, not a single PSC is around that. It is not that accessibility of internet is an issue, but सिस्टम में बैठ के एक दिन बड़ा स्क्रीन लगा के, एक 70 इंचेस का स्क्रीन पंचायत ऑफिस में लगा के, लोगों को लाइन करके लगा के टेली कंसल्टेशन करनी।
Correct.
So that you know, people are sitting in Delhi, doctors are sitting in some other places, not only from their territory even, but acute care का ट्रीटमेंट तो हो सकता है ना सर वहाँ पे बैठ के।
100%.
People are not able to run the mobile. गांव में लोगों को मोबाइल नहीं चलाना आता, फेसबुक चला लेते हैं, सब कुछ चला लेते हैं। जब when it comes to teleconsultation, they are not that tech savvy. So there are 4 startups I am working with in different states, where they want to take the simple concept कि 2 बंदे हायर करो, 4 बंदे हायर करो, 24 hour OPD चलेगा, ऑनलाइन टेलीकंसल्टेशन चलेगा। So the things are getting immersed. There are a lot of innovations are coming in, and I am very pro. I am running this program called I am a pharmacist. Do I know my industry since last 4 years? Running post to pillar to multiple universities, multiple colleges, creating awareness on pharma education, creating awareness on the what are the career opportunity that we have.
Correct.
सर 2 साल के अंदर कोविड के बाद वो भी इतनी ज्यादा चेंज हो गया है। The students coming from the multiple universities, they have different ideas. Now I don't know whether Jamia has a innovation center or not. That Babita ma'am can add on. But
We have it. We have it, sir. We have
correct.
it.
So I have seen. I was in advisory board of initially when it started. मैं initial advisory में बैठा हुआ था डिप्सरू के अंदर. So they have an innovation center within the college, and the college students are putting lot of efforts. And recently I have seen that Dipsru has helped the pharmaceutical companies to innovate multiple formulation to launch in the market within the space of nephrology. So yes, I think sir, if you can think of something to engage the pharmaceutical student, pick up from the different centers, different universities, including Jamia, because the thought process has come from here. So the lead should be from this place. So that will be really nice. Any other questions? Any other questions from the?
Manas, can I add just to what you all just said?
Please,
Dr. Babita, if there is an innovation center running, we can get, I mean, between Somil, me and Manas, we can get some of our leaders to come and meet and, view what is going on, because you never know where the creative connect comes in, right? You're thinking in one particular direction, we may be thinking another one, and then just clicks. So we'll be very happy to be there, or even at least have a session where we hear from you in terms of some of the key presentations on some ideas, right? So we'll love to do that.
Sure, sir. Sure, ma'am. It is a wonderful idea. So we can go ahead with it, because the students will be ultimately beneficial.
मैम इतनी स्टूडेंट, मैं तो सीधा कैलकुलेशन में, आई एम ए पर्सन ऑफ मार्केट रिसर्च में सीधा नंबर पे आता हूँ। 1400 फार्मा कॉलेजेस, 60 स्टूडेंट निकालता है, 10% एमफार्म करने जाते हैं, वो भी तो आएंगे ना इंडस्ट्री, पढ़ के इधर ही आना है, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि सेल्स में आएंगे, दे कुड गेट इनटू मल्टीपल एस्पेक्ट्स। तो 60 into 1400 सीधा जितना अमाउंट होता है, जस्ट इमेजिन अगर मैं 1400 into 240 करूं, तो व्हाट इज द क्वांटम ऑफ पीपल दैट गोइंग इनटू। और सर आज से मैं आज बोलता हूँ एक चीज, मैम इज फ्रॉम फार्मा बैकग्राउंड, यू इज फ्रॉम फार्मा बैकग्राउंड। मार्च 2020 से पहले फार्मा वाज ए एक्सीडेंटल प्रोफेशन। पीएमटी में फेल हुआ बंदा, मेडिकल में फेल हुआ, सीधा कुछ नहीं करना है, मेडिसिन में कुछ करना है, वो इधर यहाँ ही आता था। आज भी वही सिचुएशन है सर। I saw the cut-ups. If you see the cut-ups of the universities post 12, you'll surprised to see sir 95% cut-ups जा रहे हैं सर 12th का। That means the intelligent people are getting into pharmacy, ऐसा नहीं है। लेकिन वो सर जो था ना कि एक्सीडेंटल प्रोफेशन से अपनी टाइम आएगा वाला कॉन्सेप्ट में वी आर स्टैंडिंग इट नाउ। Correct. COVID has given us the opportunity कि अपना टाइम आ गया है। So now how to leverage that? I think it is academia plus the industry shaking hands together to take the entire thing. It's not only for the government thing, that I think private has lot of private things have lot of to do. As you mentioned that There is no issues in terms of money. Monies are floating around, but how to implement it, to take those things to the last mile, is the main problem.
And believe me, Manas, as you rightly said, right, as I mentioned earlier, government has enough money for healthcare. There is absolutely no dearth of money. You go to the tribal ministry, they'll say, "आपका एक program का कितना खर्चा होता है?" Then I told them, 10,000 patients if we have to screen, around 30 lakh rupees, counting everything, right? And we'll screen the patient for sickle. And they are like, okay, so then they do a calculation. पूरे झारखंड में अगर करना हो तो इतना crores. Okay, you send us the proposal, we'll allocate the money to you, start from tomorrow. So this is the type of thing. The good part is that they also want to. पहले के ज़माने के जैसा नहीं है कि they just want to move files and not act on it. You go and meet the JS, you meet people in the tribal ministry. They're so pro doing stuff for the tribals that they said, no problem. You give us proposals, help us design a whole program, and we will work together to run this program. So that is something which is music, right? Otherwise you would always expect कि नहीं यहाँ तो कुछ काम होना नहीं, ये लोग सिर्फ बात करेंगे. But very professional guys, very very professional.
The things has been changed, sir. I think in the last 2 years the things has been changed, not only at the central level but also at each level of the state governments. We are working में sir मैं government licensing business की बात करूँ, it has been, there is a paradigm shift happened over there. If you talk about any institute, be it a medical corporation, be it DGFMS, कहीं पे भी आप जाइए, पहले सर आपने तो सर सबसे ज्यादा गवर्नमेंट का इंस्टीट्यूट हैंडल किया है, तो अभी जो पहले था वो एकदम पूरी की पूरी चेंज हो गया है.
Correct.
And
NHA and all coming in, right, for PMJY, the National Health Authority coming in. I mean, they've hired people only from Deloitte and those companies who sit in their offices, right? From IQ and Deloitte, उनके ऑफिस में खाली 5-6 गवर्नमेंट वाले ऑफिसर्स हैं who are at the top level. Remaining everything are all the hardcore guys who come out of Deloitte, who come out of IQVIA. उनके consultants वहाँ बैठे हुए हैं. PwC, those are the guys sitting in that office. So they'll ask you, HEOR data दिखाओ, what is that, what's happening, quality of life कितना add होता है. And I was like, government office में भी talking of quality of life years, what's happening here? But then you realize कि यहाँ पे the whole thing is changed over the last couple of years, and people are really looking at value for money, right? कि हमको really, if we spend this level of money, is it going to help? So good.
I got an opportunity to work with Exim Bank, where government of India was investing some good quantum of money on Cambodia. So trust me, if you'll get into Exim Bank office in Mumbai, Nariman Point, you'll surprised to see that is a corporate. So the entire thing has been changed. So yes, I think academia, there is always a gap between academia and the industry. And as a result, the students are not aware what is happening. There is no media where they will get the news what is happening. So I think academia and industry partnership is the must, not only for the placements but also for the new innovations, engaging the people in the internship. पहले सर internship होता था सर्टिफिकेट के लिए. I remember in my time फोन करते थे, भाई साहब वो वहाँ पे रेंडेक्सी में तुम्हारा भाई है क्या, उनको बोलना है मेरे को एक सर्टिफिकेट दे दे. तो अभी स्टूडेंट को सर आप बोलोगे भी सर्टिफिकेट लेने के लिए, कोई लेने के लिए तैयार नहीं, बोलते आई वांट टू लर्न. They are not looking at what stipend we are going to give. But yes, सर मैं आऊंगा तो मेरा खर्चा थोड़ा सा होता है, तो आप मुझे स्मॉल टोकन ऑफ स्टाइपेंड भी देंगे. and I really want to learn. I was surprised to listen from Narsi Munji day before yesterday when I was in touch with them. They have 4 months internship, sir. अपना फार्मेसी में 2 महीने का है, उनकी 4 महीने का. So they made sure that people are getting trained. So this afternoon is really a fantastic afternoon. It's not
very Manas, also industry is also looking at people coming in and staying for longer on the internships. They are not tick mark internships anymore. You are looking at PPOs coming out of meaningful projects that are coming in, right? It was not earlier catcha today. Now I want to give to people, please keep yourself occupied, 4 research karke aa jao. You are looking at getting value out of the people you are bringing in. So I think it's amazing. COVID has actually changed everything upside down. Dr. Babita, tech, wow, I would have never thought of it. So it's going to be I think I'm going to definitely come in touch with you and understand a lot more about what you are doing in that area.
Ma'am, just to add one thing, today we also, as a consulting company, we have collaborated with pharmacy institutions. We are not even asking them to come to our office. We went there. I'll not able to tell the name of the institution, but yes, there are 5 collaboration. I have signed MOU since last 2 months. Very simple things we are trying to do it, which is not there in the market. I'll just put it like this. You and sir is in 25 in the market. आज की डेट में डॉक्टर की डाटाबेस किसी को किसी के पास है ही नहीं सर, मैम किसी के पास है नहीं. वी हैव पिक्ड अप दैट प्रोजेक्ट कि हम डॉक्टर डेमोग्राफी मैपिंग चालू कर रहे हैं. वी हैव साइंड अप ए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एमओयू विद द यूनिवर्सिटीज एंड द इंस्टीट्यूशन. हमने बोला कि हमें 10 लोग चाहिए, हमें उनको देखना भी नहीं है कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं, आप उसको मॉनिटर करो. हमारे जो प्रोजेक्ट लीड है वो हफ्ते में 2 बार डिजिटली आप लोगों को टच बेस करेगा. वी हैव क्रिएटेड ए डैशबोर्ड बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग डिजिटल. People who are going to put the entire thing into the dashboard, and somebody need to check and just sign off कि भाई ये डॉक्टर का प्रोफाइल डिटेल में है. Pick up the phone, speak to the doctor, डॉक्टर का नंबर सही है नहीं है. So when you are signing a MOU with the institute, the error of margin is also minimizing. So there are the new, हमने भी सर हमारी, for us it's a win-win situation. It's a commercial engagement with the university, it's a commercial engagement with the institute. हमने बोला कि जो भी पैसे इस प्रोजेक्ट से आएगा, it is going to be XYZ divided, revenue sharing will be XYZ. So yes ma'am, जो आप बोल रहे हैं कि new innovation, new projects for long term internship, अब स्टूडेंट आएगा, बॉम्बे आएगा, दिल्ली आएगा, उसके पास समय नहीं है, तो इंस्टीट्यूट के अंदर वो बैठा हुआ है 4 साल बी फार्म कर रहा है, 2 साल एम फार्म कर रहा है, उधर उसको उसके इंटरेस्ट के साथ एंगेज कर रहा है. It's a really today is an amazing day. I mean to say वो नींद भी सब भूल गया, बड़ा थकावट हो रही थी जब मैं बैठ रहा था. मैम ने मेरे को बोला कि मॉडरेट करना है, एंड आई विश हितेश सुप्रीति सर हैव बीन today's session. He also could have brought lot of value to the table. So really fantastic day sir. I really thank you so much ma'am and sir to join us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us over. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody has any question, just put it across. Otherwise, we can follow up, wind up the session. Kalpana, thank you so much for your brilliant idea. So Kalpana Joshi is the person who has shared this idea of collaborating with pharmaceutical company. So definitely, Kalpana, I am based out of Gurgaon. I look forward to meet you in person. And
Kalpana, kindly introduce yourself, Kalpana.
Yes, ma'am. Since you've given the permission, I'll do the needful. I'm not from the pharmacy background. I wanted to clear that point here, sir. Basically, I'm a physiotherapist. I'm working in the capacity of associate professor in Department of Physiotherapy, Jamia Hamdard. So my base, though I'm yes.
बहुत और अच्छा लगा सुन के कि फिजियोथेरापिस्ट के प्रोफेसर हैं एंड हेल्थ केयर की कोलैबोरेशन की बात कर रहे हैं. ये तो सुन के we are really delighted ma'am. I was not knowing that you are coming from the academic side. Really hats off to you and look forward to meet you soon.
To clear it out here, sir, I'm both into clinicals as well as academics. Like we are running a school here where we are treating as well as teaching. We have PG, masters and PhD programs along with the clinical clientele, say touching about 150 patients per day.
Oh my goodness.
Super, Kalpana, super. I think what we will look forward to is, because you are going to bring patient insight, right? You're dealing with them on a daily basis. You're already in your mind clubbing academics and clinical at one end. So I think that's how this thought probably also would have originated.
You're right, ma'am. So that's why I wanted to really ask that if we as physios can also contribute to these ideas, because perhaps you would be looking for farmers more.
100% Kalpana, it's everybody in the healthcare ecosystem can contribute. Everybody. I can tell you this, sometimes from the guys who come for delivery from the chemist or from anywhere else, some of the best ideas start coming in because they are ones who are seeing the pain point on a daily basis. So more than happy to see you, is to see the physiotherapist partners, coming and telling us what needs to be done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, it's not only pharmaceutical students, as mentioned by ma'am and sir.
Yes.
When it comes to healthcare, starting from the nursing staffs, the paramedics, to everybody, including the doctors, we cumulatively, as a consortium known as healthcare.
The term healthcare worker is a very, very big term, I think so.
Everybody, starting from academia to the industry to the hospital, everybody is going to be part of healthcare today. वो कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं रहा कि डॉक्टर खाली हेल्थ केयर रहेंगे या फार्मासिस्ट हेल्थ केयर रहेंगे, नर्सिंग हेल्थ केयर रहेंगे. क्वालिफिकेशन टुडे डज नॉट मैटर, टू द बेस्ट ऑफ माय नॉलेज. any peripheral things. अगर कोई arts का student, I have seen people coming from arts to be marketing heads of the companies. One of my friend, Risiraj Talwar, he was heading, MSD's Januvia for quite some time. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हम लोग खाली फार्मा देख रहे हैं. सो फार्मा इज इट्स कंप्लीट हेल्थ केयर. अमेजिंग मैम, लुक फॉरवर्ड टू मीटिंग यू वेरी सुन मैम इन यूनिवर्सिटी. मैंने मैम को बोला है कि मेरे को एक कैरियर ड्राइव का एक सेशन दो
Very
फिजिकली
soon,
इधर.
sir. Very soon. Very soon.
थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody has any question? I think somebody was saying something and we cut off in between. Anybody has any question? सर आज संडे नहीं है, अब देखिए स्टूडेंट जा नहीं रहे हैं.
Correct. No, it's been a very good session. You attend so many sessions, but this really is both ways, right? Quite a lot of learning. So thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Sure. I think if we don't have any question, we can call it up the day.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to take it from here. Thank you, sir. Manas sir, thank you, Somil sir. Thank you, Priya ma'am. And now let's move to the last part for today's session. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Babita G. Kataria, Honorary Director, Industry Academia Partnership Cell, Jamia Hamdard, for the vote of thanks. Earlier to her present endeavor, she was worked with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow and Noida, UP, as Director, University Industry Interface Cell. She has done her doctorate in management from Guru Govind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi. She has centrally managed 756 affiliated colleges of the aforesaid university for training and placement. Overall, she has 27 years of experience in the field of medical sciences, training and placement, academics, administration, industry, and business development. In addition, she has worked with various institutes of Guru Govind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi, Abdul Kalam Technical University, UP, and corporates including HCL Technologies, Technochip, KLG Systems. She has been recently digitally awarded by the Circle of Legends among top 20 international women with nobility and courage. I wholeheartedly congratulate you, ma'am. Happy moments of her are to be surrounded by nature, to be in a positive and learning environment, and to do some useful work for students' fraternity. She inspires and motivates us every day, and we look forward to learning more from you in the near future. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nishka, and thank you so much for all my speakers. And here I go for a formal vote of thanks from our side and from the institution and from the core of my heart, especially. So, on behalf of Jamia Hamdard, deemed to be university, Indian State Academia Partnership Cell would like to thank you so much and appreciate your benign presence and imparting knowledge. We are very happy and thankful to our special guest speakers for accepting our invitation and gracing the event. These 6 hours were of gaining high impacted knowledge from the experts. I sincerely pay my gratitude to our Honorable Chancellor Sahib Janab Hamad Ahmadji and Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir Professor Dr. Mohammad Afsar Alamji for creating such a platform where we can excel and showcase our expertise and also have great learning. Thank you so much, sir. I pay thanks to our Registrar sir, whose all-time support is always honored. We pay my gratitude to Mr. Manas sir for deciding this theme, revolving market dynamics and globalization of life science industry post-COVID era. It showed us a path how to move in the present scenario. I also pay my thanks to him for moderating and making all speakers comfortable during both the days. It is a great pride to pay our regards to all our speakers of 2 days, Mr. Manas, Mr. Charudat Arora, Mr. V. K. Ashok, Ms. Priya, Ms. Atul Hadap, and Ms. Saumil Modi, and all other our audience for sharing and enhancing knowledge for all the stakeholders. Thanks, Mr. Hitesh Upriti, for accepting our invitation. However, due to some important meeting, could not join. Please do not feel disheartened. I'm telling to my students, please do not feel disheartened. We will invite him again in our next conclave. I pay thanks to Dean and HODs of all schools, directors, provosts, deputy registrar, officials of university, professors, associate professors, assistant professors, and other teaching and non teaching staff who wished us good luck and supported us to have successfully completing these two summits. Thank you to Ms. Dr. Sedunisa, convener IAPC, for being a main pillar of the summit. I pay thanks to IT Computer Center team for holding show my hassle free. Sincere gratitude to team of media and public relations. Thanks to print media who created so fabulous and attractive flyers. Thanks to dear students who patiently listened everyone and hope they had enjoyed learning and had captured some new ideas to walk through the life and achieve milestones. Special thanks to our loving anchors Shashi, Bhavya, Mohammed, Mohsin, Nida, and Vanshika. There are few more whom I really wanted to pay my sincere thanks and regards. They very silently wish us for a successful professional and personal life. They give us their wishes, love, time, energy, and motivation for doing any work, who are none other than our families. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of our backing operational team members who had supported us for a successful completion of the event, and by God grace, we forgot to take their names. So please, I am paying my sincere thanks to all of them who have supported this summit to be a very successful event. At the end, with a smile on the face, happiness in the heart for gaining so much, we say you bye with the hopes of meeting you all again and again in the life. Thank you so much to all. I now hand over to the control to our beloved student for closing statement. Thank you so much.
We are delighted.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So, with this, we have learned a lot from our speakers today and, of course, yesterday. And we would like to end the meeting now. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thanks so much,
everybody.
sir, and madam, and sir, to
Thank
please.
you.
Thank you so much, everybody, all the speakers, Manas sir, ma'am, I forgot, ma'am, and
Priya,
Somal, Priya ma'am, yes,
Priya.
and Babita ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Thanks to everyone. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
अरे आराम से लेट जाओ आराम से यहाँ से